Chapter 851. The three souls attacked at the same time, fighting against the purple-blooded void immortal. With a single thought, the art of the undefeatable and the Reverend Emperor's sword technique were displayed at the same time. This kind of power shocked all the immortal seeds. The purple-blooded void immortal, who was taking the brunt of the attack, was even more suppressed. Boom! The purple-blooded phantom immortal was struck by the invincible technique, universal reversal. A large amount of soul light dots emerged from his body and were absorbed into Chu Kuangren's body. 9 revolutions, 3 elements, soul refining art. The soul energy was quickly refined and absorbed by him. This altar of yours is quite useful. Chu Kuangren chuckled. The refining soul altar was one of the treasures of the purple blood void immortal. On it, the more powerful souls could absorb the souls of the weaker ones. Meanwhile, the purple-blooded spectral immortal was both shocked and enraged when he saw that Chu Kuangren was continuously absorbing his soul energy. His entire soul form was trembling. Initially, she thought that she was the meat on Chu Kuangren's chopping block. She thought that Chu Kuangren could only be put on the chopping block and be obediently slaughtered by her. Who would have thought that the other party was the hunter and he was the prey? Moreover, it was the kind of prey that obediently delivered itself to his doorstep. Damn it! How could something like this have happened? It shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened. The purple blood void immortal couldn't figure it out no matter how hard he tried. His plan was flawless. How could a variable like Chu Kuangren appear? When did you know that I wanted to take over your body? The purple-blooded void immortal asked indignantly. I knew it the moment I entered the violet blood Dao Palace. Chu Kuangren sneered. Xiao AI was able to figure out what the prismatic crystal, which contained the spirit illusion realm and the purple-blooded virtual immortal soul, was capable of. He didn't even have to guess. How could that be? Even if you're as intelligent as a demon, it's still impossible. The purple-blooded void immortal was astonished. He knew my plan the moment we met. You must be bragging. But if that wasn't the case, how did the plan get leaked? As wise as a demon? Heh, thanks for the compliment. To be more precise, it wasn't him, but Xiao AI. Speaking of which, Xiao AI wasn't very intelligent. However, she was even more exaggerated than devilish wisdom. She was a cheat. Humph humph. Xiao AI snorted in his mind. Look at how smug you are. No. Tiske. Only a ghost would believe that. Chu Kuangren curled his lips and continued to deal with the purple-blooded illusory immortal. If the purple-blooded hollow immortal was at his peak, with the strength of a hollow immortal soul, even if he cultivated the 9 revolution 3 elements refining soul technique, he would not be able to defeat the purple-blooded hollow immortal so easily. However, the purple-blooded void immortal was only a remnant soul. No matter how strong a remnant soul was when it was still alive, it was no match for Chu Kuangren now. It was only a remnant soul that was left behind by the spiritual illusion realm. No, I have to leave. Otherwise, I will really die here. Seeing that Chu Kuangren's attacks were getting stronger and stronger, the purple-blooded phantom immortal suddenly wanted to leave. He opened the enchanted boundary of the altar and dashed away. Where can you go? Chu Kuangren chuckled. The 3 souls attacked at the same time. Dao patterns intertwined and psyche power circulated. Following that, the Dao patterns turned into 3 world chains that flew out. The void immortal was bound by the world lock like a bolt of lightning. Heh, just now you used chains to lock me up. Now, this is called giving you a taste of your own medicine. The human soul sneered and yanked fiercely. The purple-blooded void immortal was instantly pulled back onto the soul-refining altar. He had no way of escaping under the restraint of the world lock. D****. Immortal technique, amethyst dragon crimson finger. The purple-blooded void immortal roared and unleashed his immortal technique. However, before he could fully unleash his technique, Chu Kuangren's 3 souls attacked at the same time and interrupted his opponent's energy. The 3 souls surrounded the purple-blooded void immortal. Not long after, the void immortal's soul was shattered into pieces. A large amount of soul energy dissipated and was absorbed by Chu Kuangren's soul. As time went by, The purple-blooded void immortal's soul gradually dissipated. Arise with a single thought. Honorable Emperor Sword Art. Technique of invincibility. 3 surges of energy erupted at the same time. The purple-blooded void immortal's soul was completely destroyed. Chu Kuangren absorbed a large amount of soul light dots into his body, and the 9 transformations 3 elemental soul refinement technique was activated to its maximum. 9 transformations 3 elemental, merge. Chu Kuangren's heavenly soul shouted. The earth and human souls merged into the heavenly soul, and an even more terrifying soul-domineering aura erupted and swept in all directions. 9 transformations 3 elemental, the 5th transformation, completed. Not only that, but the earth and human souls were once again formed, and each of them was filled with surging soul energy. Sword Tri-Ju and Shui Qianhua shuddered under the terrifying soul-domineering aura. The few immortal seeds were dumbfounded. What a strange soul cultivation technique. Alright, it's time to head back. Chu Kuangren murmured. Then, the 3 souls combined their strength and attacked the void. There was a loud explosion. The void was torn apart. A crack was forcefully torn open in the spirit illusion realm. Chu Kuangren's 3 souls rushed towards the crack, and Sword Tri-Ju and Shui Qianhua immediately regained their senses. Everyone quickly followed Chu Kuangren's footsteps and rushed into the crack. Inside the purple-blooded Daoist palace, several rays of light shot out from the levitating prismatic crystal and entered Chu Kuangren's body. He suddenly opened his eyes. Heh, I've gained quite a lot this time. The purple-blooded void immortal's inheritance was a lie. However, his soul energy was real. This time, his 9 transformations 3 elemental soul refinement technique had been upgraded from the 4th transformation to the 5th transformation, and it was even at the peak of the 5th transformation. Now, he could easily kill a great Dao master with just his mind energy alone. If he were to use his Emperor's Qi and other techniques, he would not even be afraid of the top great Dao masters. This trip to the ancient Star of Heritage was not a waste. Chu Kuangren smiled. At that moment, several rays of light shot out from the prismatic crystal. It was Shui Qianhua and the others. They returned to their physical bodies and opened their eyes to look at Chu Kuangren. Their eyes were filled with fear and Chu Kuangren ignored the immortal seeds and got up to grab the prismatic crystal in his hand. He carefully sensed it. You want to take this soul illusion realm away? Zifeng asked. Why? You guys don't agree? Chu Kuangren chuckled. Everyone looked at each other, and no one dared to say a word. What kind of joke was that? Even the purple-blood virtual immortal was killed by him. Although the soul illusion realm was a battle of souls, and he did not use his physical cultivation, I don't think his physical combat strength is that bad. A soul illusion realm is useless to me. I don't cultivate soul Dao, so I don't mind giving it to him. The immortal seeds each had their own thoughts, and none of them made a move. Chu Kuangren chuckled when he saw that. Boring. He then walked out of the purple-blood Daoist palace. The other immortal seeds followed suit. When Zihan, Cruel Gold, and the other immortal seeds saw Zifeng and the others coming out, they quickly went up to them. Zifeng, what's the situation inside? Who got the inheritance? Zifeng shook his head. No one got the inheritance. The few of them briefly explained what happened in the purple-blood Daoist palace. The immortal seeds could not help but look at each other when they heard that. The inheritance is fake, and all the treasures are in Chu Kuangren's hands. Doesn't that mean he's the biggest winner? Together with the spirit fantasy realm, we didn't gain as much as he did. Zifeng frowned. Chu Kuangren got all the treasures? That's right. F***CK. If that was the case, did that not mean that their trip here was all for naught? We can't let him leave just like that. There's no inheritance, but those treasures are real. We can't let them fall into Chu Kuangren's hands just like that. Chapter 852. Outside the Purple Blood Planet, many forces were paying close attention to the situation. Suddenly, a furious roar came from one of the warships. Who was it? Who killed my clan's immortal seed? A furious roar resounded through the starry sky. Many people heard it. They looked over and revealed playful expressions. It's the Black-Winged Ape clan. Ah, interesting. The celestial seed of the Black-Winged Ape clan has been killed. I wonder who did it. If I remember correctly, the celestial seed's power is extraordinary. Of the geniuses who entered the Purple Blood Planet this time, there are probably less than 5 who could kill it. Indeed. Could it be someone from Purple Star or Venus? If it was really done by the immortal seeds of those 2 civilizations, then even if the Black-Winged Ape had 100 grievances, it would have no choice but to swallow it. Purple Star. Venus was the strongest civilization in the Purple Gold Galaxy. Although the Black-Winged Ape's foundation was extraordinary, it could not compare to the other party. If they were to forcefully start a war, they would only be courting death. Whoosh, whoosh, one after another, streams of light flew out. All the geniuses had come out. The top experts of the various forces all went up to understand the situation, wanting to know who had obtained the inheritance. But after understanding what had happened, everyone couldn't help but feel astonished. This inheritance was fake? They were all fooled by the purple-blooded void immortal? What a purple-blood illusionary immortal! He's despicable and shameless. If it weren't for the fact that I, the Purple Star Immortal, am blessed by fate, I'm afraid I would have been killed by him. One of Purple Star's top masters could not help snorting coldly as he raised his hand and sent out a palm strike, sending out a star river tens of thousands of kilometers in length. With a boom, more than half of Purple Blood Planet was destroyed. As the Purple Blood false immortal perished, the false immortal power of the Purple Blood Star also gradually dissipated. The star could not withstand more than a few blows from the ultimate elite. Where is Chu Kuangren? At that moment, the strong cultivators of the Black Gale Ape tribe let out an angry roar. They already knew that it was Chu Kuangren who had killed their immortal seed. Apart from the Black-Winged Ape, the other forces were also looking for this person. After all, most of the treasures on the Purple Blood Star had entered his interspatial ring. They could not act as if nothing had happened. The experts' monarch senses swept out. Soon, they had locked onto Chu Kuangren's whereabouts. At this moment, the other party had taken out a warship and was leisurely preparing to leave this place and head to the next place to train. But in the next instant, the Emperor's senses of many experts swept over. Chu Kuangren paused for a moment. He smirked. Sure enough, it won't be that easy to leave. Whoosh, 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 one by one, the figures leaped into the air and stood in mid-air, sealing Chu Kuangren within. Their terrifying auras filled the entire starry sky. So what if it's a peak immortal seed? Without a strong enough background, they will still have to spit out the treasures they obtained. That's right. Treasuring a jade ring becomes a crime. Let me see how arrogant he can be. Not far away, when Zifeng, Jin Fei, and the others saw this scene, some of them revealed gloating expressions. Chu Kuangren, do you want to leave just like that after killing my Black Gale Ape's immortal seed? You're too naive. A Black Gale Ape that was about the same size as a normal human with black fur stared at him with murderous intent. Chu Kuangren, hand over the treasures you obtained from the Purple Blood Daoist Palace, and I'll pretend that nothing happened when you killed my people, one of the great Daoist lords said. That's right. A mere Daoist lord like you wants to take all the treasures for yourself. Don't you think your appetite is too big? Hand over the treasures, and you may live. All the experts from the various forces were pressuring Chu Kuangren. Half a year ago, when Chu Kuangren battled the immortal seed, they had already investigated his background and knew that he was from the Firmament Star. Although it was a high-level cultivation civilization, it was still a far cry from the truly powerful forces in the Purple Gold Galaxy. Hence, they were not afraid of making him their enemy. Chu Kuangren remained indifferent in the face of everyone's threats. If you want the treasures, why don't you fight me? Or are you afraid of something? Everyone's eyes flashed when they heard him. Indeed, Chu Kuangren was from the Firmament Star, so he did not have a strong background. However, he somehow managed to form a connection with the Mortal Sky Illusionary Immortal and obtained the Mortal Sky Jade token. That was what they were most afraid of. What's wrong? Are you mute? Chu Kuangren sneered. Everyone's expression darkened when they saw his attitude. Chu Kuangren, so what if you have the support of the mortal sky illusionary immortal for killing my tribe's immortal seed? Don't forget that the civilization you're from doesn't have many Daoist lords. If the Black Gale Ape tribe wants to, we can turn your firmament star into cosmic dust in just a few years. One of the Black Gale Ape tribe's experts said coldly. As soon as he finished speaking, an extremely cold, murderous intent exploded and swept through the entire area. Try me, Chu Kuangren yelled. A clang was heard. The descendant's self-sword at his waist was unsheathed and landed in his palm. In the void, a gigantic colorful rune gathered and turned into 9 colorful dragons that instantly surged into Chu Kuangren's body. The divine 9 dragons transformation talisman was unleashed. Chu Kuangren's Emperor's Qi cultivation base instantly skyrocketed. He had directly skipped the peak of a minor Daoist lord and stepped into the great Dao master level. His Emperor's Qi and mind power were instantly unleashed. The celestial technique Supreme Emperor's sword art was unleashed, and the Emperor's avatar was formed. Hundreds of sword Qi gathered in the center of its palm and formed into a single sword shadow for the first time. Chu Kuangren unleashed a slash. The sword shadow in the avatar's hand followed suit and slashed towards the Black Gale Ape. What? Under the terrifying sword pressure, the Black Gale Ape's expression changed and it immediately transformed into its true form. It was a giant black ape that was hundreds of meters tall. The giant ape roared and activated the Black Gale. However, when the sword shadow landed, the Black Gale Ape was instantly torn apart. The Black Gale Ape was slashed from head to tail, leaving a huge bloody gash. A large amount of blood mist gushed out and rained down blood in the universe. Then, to everyone's horror, the Black Gale Ape's huge body was split into 2, and its internal organs and flesh floated in the void. Are you threatening me? I, Chu Kuangren, never submit to threats. If any of you want to go against Firmament Star, you can do so. If you want to destroy Firmament Star, I believe you have the strength to do so. However, I can easily defeat an immortal seed and have the potential to become an immortal. Given time, I'll become a heavenly Dao master and even have a high chance of becoming an immortal. So, before you kill me, if any of you dare to lay a finger on Firmament Star, be prepared to suffer my wrath. I may not be able to destroy you now, but who can guarantee that I won't be able to in the future? As long as I'm alive, I'll destroy the civilization that laid their hands on Firmament Star, and I won't rest until I'm dead. The universe was silent. Only Chu Kuangren's cold voice echoed. Coupled with the fact that he had just killed a great Dao master, his murderous aura instantly made everyone feel a sense of fear. That Black Gale Ape was at least a late-stage great Dao master, yet he killed it in one move. I can't believe his combat strength is so strong. Only a handful of immortal seeds have such strength. No, in the entire Purple Gold Galaxy, perhaps only one of the 2 Sequence 1 cultivators can do this. This person's words are true. If we don't kill him first, it'll be useless even if we destroy Firmament Star. We'll still have to be on guard day and night against the revenge of a peerless immortal seed. It's not worth it. Chapter 853. Chu Kuangren's cold voice echoed throughout the vast universe. Killing a great Daoist master with a single slash of his sword shocked all the strong cultivators at the scene, especially the fairy seeds. Everyone understood that Chu Kuangren was not lying. To the forces at the scene, destroying Firmament Star might not be a difficult task, but they would have to face Chu Kuangren's wrath after that. The growth potential of a peerless fairy seed was huge. No one could guarantee how strong it would be in the future. If they did not kill him first, destroying 10 Firmament Stars would be useless. Chu Kuangren. If that's the case, then I, the Black Gale Ape, shall kill you first, then destroy Firmament Star. One of the Black Gale Ape Daoist masters roared. First, their fairy seeds were killed, then their Daoist masters were killed. Their anger had reached its peak. At this point, they no longer cared about the Dust Sky Jade token. After all, the Dust Sky illusionary immortal was not here. It was just a Jade token. If they killed Chu Kuangren, they could just prepare some gifts to apologize. They did not believe that the Dust Sky illusionary immortal would fight them to the death. The Black Gale Ape tribe had their own resources. The few Black Gale Ape Daoist masters immediately transformed into their true forms, and terrifying ferocious chi swept out, filling the sky and shaking the stars. Bring it on then. Chu Kuangren held the Descendant Self-Sword in his hand, and a majestic domineering aura filled the air. Just when the two sides were about to fight, from afar, a sword ray suddenly flew towards them. The overbearing sword ray swept across the scene with the force of a thunderbolt, intimidating everyone at the scene. Let's see who dares to hurt him. An indifferent voice was heard. A man in a green robe appeared from the green light. The strong cultivators at the scene could not help but be surprised to see this person. It's him, the master of the mystic moon ancient city, the divine moon Daoist master. I can't believe he's here. What's his relationship with Chu Kuangren? Not to mention the others. Chu Kuangren was also a little confused. He was sure that he had never seen the divine moon Daoist master before, so why would he suddenly appear? Divine moon Daoist master, why are you protecting Chu Kuangren? A Black Gale Ape Great Daoist master asked. The divine moon Daoist master replied indifferently, I owe the dust sky illusionary immortal master a debt of gratitude to me. His people are my friends. I must protect him. Hearing his words, everyone came to a sudden realization. On the other hand, some people revealed an as expected expression. As expected, it's because of the ethereal immortal. I heard that the Daoist master of the Divine Moon sect once obtained a Daoist weapon of the ethereal immortal when he was young, and he was even taught by the ethereal immortal for a few days. No wonder he wanted to help Chu Kuangren. The heavenly dust medallion is too useful. Indeed, the empty immortal Chen Tian has an extremely high prestige in the purple gold galaxy. There are countless people who have received favors from him. Most of these people are top-notch geniuses. Now, most of them have more or less grown up. Among them is even the Heaven Dao Master. The God Moon Dao Master is one of them. Everyone discussed animatedly. Chu Kuangren also knew why the other party wanted to help him. His fingertips caressed the jade token on his waist as he secretly thanked the imaginary immortal mortal heaven. With the arrival of the Divine Moon Path Master, the expressions of the experts of the Black Wind Ape clan changed, and they were extremely ugly. Among the cultivators who had come to Purple Blood Planet, the strongest was only a peak Great Dao Lord. There was still a considerable gap between them and the Heavenly Dao Lord. Damn it! The leader of the Black Wind Apes cursed under his breath as he stared at Chu Kuangren with hatred. We won't let this go easily. After leaving behind these ruthless words, they retreated. With the Heavenly Dao Master around, they could not do anything to Chu Kuangren. The people from the other forces also left one after another. Chu Kuangren, let's fight again another day. Third Sword said to Chu Kuangren. After that, he left the Purple Blood Planet with the elders. Chu Kuangren, you're not the strongest fairy seed in the Purple Star Galaxy. Don't forget, there's still me, the Purple Star First Sequence. If he comes out of his closed-door meditation, no matter how strong you are, you can only die with regret. Zi Feng snorted coldly. And me, the Gold Star First Sequence. Jean Fei added. In the face of such threats, Chu Kuangren did not care at all. No matter which sky pride it was, they were nothing in front of him. Besides, he would not stand still. His rate of improvement would only surpass everyone's imagination. Thank you for your help, Brother Daoist. Chu Kuangren cupped his fists and said to the Sacred Moon Daoist Master. The Sacred Moon Daoist Master waved his hand and smiled. You're welcome. I just received a message from the Heavenly Dust Immortal not too long ago. By the way, the Mystic Moon Ancient City is nearby. Why don't you come with me and stay there for a few days? Then it would be impolite of me to decline. In the vast universe, there was a majestic ancient city floating in the air. The ancient city was unimaginably huge. It was as big as a continent, and there were many cultivators in the city, including many Daoist masters. Brother Chu, you've come at the right time. The Mystic Moon City's full moon secret realm is about to open. The Sacred Moon Daoist Master chuckled. Full moon secret realm? Yes, There's a secret realm in the mystic moon city that opens once every 1,000 years. Every time it opens, a large amount of moonlight will be released. This moonlight has a beneficial effect on cultivators' cultivation, so it attracts many cultivators every time, the sacred moon Daoist master explained. I see. Chu Kuangren nodded. Mystic Moon City, in the city lord's residence. A young lady was playing with a pot of flowers out of boredom. A maid walked over with a gift box in her hand. My lady, the Wang family's prince has sent you another gift. He said it's a 10,000-year-old luminous pearl that has the effect of calming one's mind. Oh, you can return it tomorrow. The young lady yawned. She was already used to such occurrences. Did you guys see that? The man that the city lord brought back is really good-looking. I don't think anyone in the city can compare to him. Yes, it's my first time seeing such a good-looking man. Two maids walked past and said something. The young lady's interest was piqued. What are they talking about? It seems like the city lord has brought someone back. Father's back? Yes, I think he brought a guest back too. Meanwhile, in the great hall of the city lord's residence, Chu Kuangren and the sacred moon Daoist master were having a conversation. Father, you're back. At that moment, a delicate figure walked in. It was a young lady who looked to be 17 or 18 years old. She was as beautiful as a peach, and her beauty was alluring. Then, when the young lady saw Chu Kuangren beside the sacred moon Daoist master, she was stunned. Her first impression was that he was good-looking. The more she looked at him, the better he looked. So what those people said was true. There's really someone this good-looking in this world, the young lady murmured. Hi Tang, you're here. The sacred moon Daoist master smiled at Chu Kuangren. Brother Chu, let me introduce you. This is my daughter, Tang Haiting. Greetings, Miss Tang. My name is Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren? You're the Chu Kuangren who defeated a group of immortal seeds in the dusty sky planet? Tang Haitang's eyes lit up. Chu Kuangren smiled. He looked at Tang Haitang and felt a little strange. When he saw her, the book of physique in his body trembled a little. Shao AI, analyze Tang Haiti. Chu Kuangren said in his heart. Analyzing. Tang Haiting, Emperor Realm. Unawakened immortal physique. Chapter 854. An unawakened immortal body? Chu Kuangren's eyes flashed. Tang Haitang had an immortal physique. The so-called immortal physique was a physique above the Tao physique. Every possessor of an immortal physique was a supreme immortal seed. However, some immortal physiques were not obvious in the early stages and needed a special method to awaken. For example, Tang Haitang had an unawakened immortal physique. I didn't expect to meet an immortal body here. This is too rare. Chu Kuangren was secretly surprised. One must know that even the first sequence of the Purple Star and Venus in the Purple Gold Galaxy had never heard of them possessing an immortal body. But Tang Haitang did. And she had. It was very likely that he had it as well. With the Book of Physique, he could easily analyze it and make it his. Chu Kuangren's eyes flashed as he looked at Tang Haitang with a fiery gaze, causing the young lady to blush. What to do? This good-looking fellow Daoist Chu has been staring at me all along. Could it be that he has taken a fancy to me? No way, no way. Even the mystic moon Daoist's expression became a little strange. Chu Kuangren did not look like a cultivator who would be easily tempted by beauty, so why was he suddenly staring at his daughter? My apologies, I forgot my manners. Young friend Chu, what's wrong? Does fellow Daoist Xinyu know about your daughter's immortal body? Upon hearing that, the mystic moon Daoist master's expression froze. He stared at Chu Kuangren with a hint of wariness in his eyes. The divine moon Dao master was well aware of Tang Haitang's immortal body. Many years ago, Hollow Immortal Chen Tian came to Mystic Moon City as a guest and said that Tang Haitang had a celestial body, but because this celestial body needed a special method to awaken, even Hollow Immortal Chen Tian didn't know the method. Later on, Tang Haitang never displayed the cultivation talent that an immortal body should have, and the divine moon Daoist master gradually forgot about this matter. Now, Chu Kuangren had suddenly pointed out this matter accurately. Could it be that the other party had taken a fancy to his daughter's immortal body? What does he want to do? Young friend Chu, how did you know? I won't hide it from fellow Daoist Xinyu. I actually have some understanding of the Tao of physiques, which is why I was able to sense Miss Tang's immortal physique. I see. The Tao master of the Divine Moon sect relaxed his guard slightly. If Brother Xinyu is willing, I can help Miss Tang fully awaken her immortal physique, Chu Kuangren said with a smile. Upon hearing that, the Divine Moon Path master's pupils constricted. Awakening the immortal physique? Is this true? If Mystic Moon Ancient City had its own immortal physique, then the effect would be too great, and it would be greatly beneficial to Tang Haitong's cultivation. There was even a high chance that he would become an immortal in the future. But was this possible? One must know that even the mortal sky void immortal had no way of helping her awaken her immortal body. Of course. Chu Kuangren smiled confidently. With the spirit of omniscience, Xiao AI, and the Book of Physique, it was not difficult for Chu Kuangren to help Tang Haitang awaken her immortal physique. What is it? I need some materials. Chu Kuangren told the Sacred Moon Daoist Lord about the conditions and materials needed to awaken his Daoist physique. Tang Haitang watched from the side with a confused look on her face. Immortal physique? Could she also awaken that powerful physique? Haitang, take little friend Chu to rest first. All right. Tang Haitang regained her senses and nodded. After Chu Kuangren left, the Sacred Moon Path Master took out a jade scroll and contacted the Mortal Sky Void Immortal, telling him that he wanted to help Tang Haitang awaken her immortal physique. Little friend Chu's abilities are unfathomable. Even I can't figure out what he's capable of. Perhaps he can really help Haitang awaken her immortal physique. As for whether he will harm Haitang, I've known him for half a year, and I can guarantee you that he won't do such a thing. The Mortal Sky Void Immortal said. The Sacred Moon Path Master nodded. Since Senior Chen Tian gave him the Mortal Sky Jade token, he must have passed your test. Since you trust him, I'll leave this matter to him. If little friend Chu can really help Tang Haitang awaken her immortal physique, you'll owe him a big favor. The Mortal Sky Void Immortal laughed. Huh, if he can help Haitang awaken her immortal physique, what's wrong with owing him a favor? The Sacred Moon Path Master smiled. On the Mortal Sky Planet. The Mortal Sky Void Immortal was studying runes when he suddenly thought of Chu Kuangren. He smiled. Equipment refinement, formation, runes, and now there's the ability to study physiques. Little friend Chu, how many more surprises do you want to surprise us? How many more abilities do you have? Ancient Mystic Moon City. City Hall. Chu Kuangren was arranged to stay in a guest room. He was not in a hurry to study Tang Haitang's immortal physique. After all, there were still a few months before the full moon secret realm opened. He would stay here until the secret realm opened, so he had all the time in the world. Now, he planned to organize his gains from the Purple Blood planet and improve his cultivation. His biggest gain from the Purple Blood planet this time was, of course, upgrading his soul refinement technique to the 5th transformation. However, the other gains were not bad either. There were also many Daoist supreme elixirs and Daoist sources. After spending a few days, Chu Kuangren had absorbed and refined everything that could be absorbed. The Universal Cauldron Physique did not stop operating for even a moment. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren's cultivation had also risen to the peak minor Daoist master realm. He was only one step away from breaking through to the great Daoist master realm. After absorbing all the Daoist supreme elixirs and Daoist sources, Chu Kuangren took out the prismatic crystal he obtained from the Purple Blood Palace. Inside it was the Soul Illusionary Realm and the Soul Refinement Altar. He decided to refine them as well to gain full control of them. This Soul Illusionary Realm allows souls to fight without fear of death. It's a great place for training. Perhaps I can let my 3 souls fight continuously in there to accumulate battle experience and improve my own weaknesses. Chu Kuangren thought to himself. Fighting with oneself without a care for one's life. Only Chu Kuangren would do something like that. He would do it if he wanted to. The Earth Soul and Human Soul entered the Soul illusionary realm first. The battle began. The Earth Soul used one thought while the Human Soul used the technique of invincibility. The two great mysteries continuously circulated and clashed against each other. The battle lasted for 3 whole days. When both parties' soul energies were almost depleted, they returned to their bodies to recover before entering the Soul illusionary realm to fight again. During this process, Chu Kuangren had a vague feeling that his one thought and the technique of invincibility could still improve. The ultimate mystery could still improve even more. I'm still not enlightened enough, but one day, I'll make these 2 cultivation techniques evolve again, Chu Kuangren murmured. These 2 cultivation techniques were created by him, and they were the most compatible with his Daoist Dao. He would not give up on them easily. Although they could not keep up with him at this stage, if his Daoist Dao could improve, there was no reason why the mysteries he created could not. There was no limit to Daoist techniques and Daoist Dao. Mediocre people had limited abilities, so they set boundaries for Daoist techniques and Daoist techniques. How could Chu Kuangren be mediocre? After his closed-door meditation ended, Chu Kuangren walked out of his room. Not long after, he bumped into Tang Haitang in his residence. Hey, Brother Chu, you're finally out. We're planning to go to the trading fair. Do you want to join us? Chapter 855. Trade Market. The Mystic Moon Ancient City is a neutral force in the Purple Gold Galaxy. So many cultivators come here to trade things that they don't want, Tang Haitang said. Chu Kuangren's interest was piqued. He did have some Daoist weapons and treasures that he did not need, so he could trade them. There might even be some unexpected gains. Let's go then. Chu Kuangren smiled. All right. Tang Haitang was a little happy. She did not know why, but ever since she met Chu Kuangren a few days ago, his figure had been lingering in her mind. She realized that she had fallen in love with this young man whom she had just met for the first time. Was this what people meant by love at first sight? Along the way, Tang Haitang could not help but sneak a peek at Chu Kuangren. His nose, his mouth, his eyes, individually, it did not seem like much. However, when put together, he looked more and more handsome. Heavens, how can there be such a handsome man in this world? Tang Haitang could not help but scream in her heart. Chu Kuangren had also noticed her little movements. He could not help but sigh in his heart. This damn charm of mine has no place to put it. Master, she's lusting after your body. The omniscient spirit Xiao AI said. Don't make a fuss. There are plenty of people who are lusting after my body. Xiao AI was speechless. They arrived at the trade market. There were indeed many cultivators there. Most of them had placed a piece of cloth in front of them and placed things that they did not want on it. The best emperor weapon that can defend against a Daolord's attack. Don't miss this opportunity. Come and have a look. A fragment of an immortal artifact. Is there anyone who wants it? Immortal pills from the 8th era ruins. Come and have a look. The sooner you buy them, the sooner you can ascend to immortality. All sorts of exaggerated shouts could be heard. Some were selling immortal weapons, some were selling immortal pills, and some were even selling immortal ascension scrolls. Chu Kuangren glanced at them and was disappointed to find that they were all third-rate goods that were useless to him. This trade market is a little too lame. Brother Chu, up ahead is the largest trading platform of the trade market, the 3,000 firms. The real good stuff is over there. I hope you don't disappoint me. Chu Kuangren murmured. There was nothing that couldn't be traded in the 3,000 shops and 3,000 worlds. The origins of the 3,000 firm were mysterious. They were the most mysterious organization in the Purple Gold Galaxy. It was said that they could be found in other galaxies as well. Chu Kuangren knew that he had made the right decision the moment he arrived at this trading firm. There weren't many things here, but everything was of high quality. Oh, isn't this Miss Tang? You're here today. When an old man saw Tang Haitang, he immediately came up to her. Although Tang Haitang's cultivation was not high, she was the precious daughter of the Mystic Moon Sect Master. This was something that everyone in the Mystic Moon Ancient City did not know. Even a Daolord would have to be courteous to her. Yes. Tang Haitang nodded. Then she turned to Chu Kuang and said, "Brother Chu, this is the person in charge of the Mystic Moon City's 3,000 firm. If there's anything you'd like to buy or trade, you can tell him." "I understand." Chu Kuangren nodded. Beside him, Manager Li glanced at Chu Kuangren with a strange look in his eyes. "Oh, it's Brother Chu. My apologies for not recognizing you." "Oh, you know me?" "Brother Chu, you must be joking. Who doesn't know you in the Purple Gold Galaxy now? You single-handedly defeated the combined forces of all the immortal seeds in the Purple Blood Planet, Brother Chu." Manager Li smiled. Chu Kuangren smiled and said, "I have a few items here that I would like to trade with your trading firm. Please take a look, Manager Li." As he spoke, Chu Kuangren took out a few Daoist weapons that he had obtained on the Purple Blood Planet. These were not very useful to him. However, Manager Li's eyes lit up when he saw them. Daoist weapons. And there's even a top-notch Daoist weapon. This is good stuff. He studied them carefully. "Brother Chu, do you really want to trade these items with us?" "Yes." "What would you like to trade for, Brother Chu?" "I'll trade them for spiritual marrows," Chu Kuangren said. He did not lack anything at the moment, so he could just trade them for spiritual marrows. As pure spiritual chi crystals, spiritual marrows were the hard currency of the universe. If you trade them for spiritual marrows, the 3,000 firm can offer up to 2 billion kilograms at most. However, I suggest Brother Chu to auction these Daoist weapons off. They will fetch a higher price than us. Manager Li suggested. Chu Kuangren had a playful look in his eyes when he heard that. There was no such thing as a business where the buyer was considerate of the seller. Manager Li could have used 2 billion kilograms of spiritual marrows to buy the Daoist weapons, and Chu Kuangren would not have rejected him. He could then sell them off at the auction and earn a few hundred million. However, he did not. Instead, he reminded Chu Kuangren to put them up for auction. He was trying to befriend Chu Kuangren. After all, a top-notch immortal seed had great potential. Compared to a few 100 million kilograms of spiritual marrows, befriending Chu Kuangren would bring him more benefits in the future. Chu Kuangren knew this too, so he accepted the favor. Manager Li can arrange the trade for these Daoist weapons. "All right, I'll put them up for auction then." Beside him, Tang Haitong's expression changed. "There's an auction soon?" "Yes, it's today." "Looks like we've come at the right time. I'm sure the 3,000 firm won't mind adding the two of us." Tang Haitang smiled. "Miss Tang, you're flattering me. I've sent an invitation to the City Hall a few days ago, but I heard that the Mystic Moon City Hall has been busy lately and did not have the time to come. I didn't expect you to come instead, Miss Tang." Manager Li smiled. "Yes, my father has been quite busy lately." Tang Haitang did not say much. Recently, the Mystic Moon Daoist had been following Chu Kuangren's instructions and was busy collecting materials to help her awaken her immortal physique. However, this was a secret that not many people knew about. The auction was held in the 3,000 firm's inner hall. There were not many people there, but each of them represented a reputable force in the Mystic Moon ancient city, such as the top-notch cultivation families or orthodoxies. When they saw Tang Haitang enter, everyone's eyes lit up. They then stood up and bowed to her one by one. They were exceptionally enthusiastic towards her. No matter how arrogant these representatives were, they knew that the Mystic Moon ancient city's Daoist master was the last person they could offend. As his precious daughter, Tang Haitang was very famous. "Haitang, you're here too." A young man happily walked up to Tang Haitang and greeted her intimately. Upon hearing that, Tang Haitang quickly glanced at Chu Kuangren as if she was afraid that he would misunderstand. When she saw that his expression was normal, she could not help but let out a sigh of relief. However, she was also a little disappointed. "There's nothing strange. Does he not have feelings for me? Brother Wang, you can call me Miss Tang or Brother Tang. Calling me Haitang is too intimate." Brother Wang did not feel awkward when he heard that. However, when he looked at Chu Kuangren, his eyes were instantly filled with wariness. It was as if he was looking at a rival in love. This is Brother Chu, a friend of mine," Tang Haitang said. When the crowd heard that, they could not help but take a few more glances at him. They were instantly attracted by his otherworldly temperament and appearance. This person is really extraordinary. Not bad. I wonder which sky pride he is? Obviously, these representatives could not remember who Chu Kuangren was. Their intelligence was much weaker than the 3,000 firms. Chapter 856. Haitang's friend. Brother Wang glanced at Chu Kuangren, and the hostility in his eyes intensified. Then he said, "I'm Wang Hang, the Wang family's crown prince. Greetings, Brother Chu. I look forward to your guidance in the future." "You're welcome. Brother Chu, the auction is about to begin. Let's find a place to sit first," Tang Haitang said. Then she found 2 seats that leaned against each other. The 2 of them sat together, talking and laughing. Behind them, a venomous gaze landed on the 2 of them. It was the Wang family's Wang Hang. When the surrounding people saw this, they couldn't help feeling playful. Interesting, the daughter of the city lord seems to be very concerned about this young man. Could it be that she has taken a fancy to him? That's very possible. With that temperament and appearance, if I were a woman, I would probably be very moved too. Indeed, this is going to be fun. The Wang clan's heir has always been chasing after the city lord's daughter, but now someone else has beaten him to it. I'm afraid he won't give up so easily. Can this person stop the Wang clan's revenge? In this mystic moon city, aside from the city lord's mansion, the Wang family is the strongest faction. The Wang family has always wanted to form an alliance with the city lord's mansion, so how could they allow others to touch the city lord's daughter? Everyone's thoughts converged and conversed in secret. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren had also noticed the resentful stares coming from behind him. But he didn't care. He could talk to whoever he wanted and get close to whoever he wanted. It was all based on his own preferences. When had he ever cared about other people's attitudes? Furthermore, he still wanted to analyze Tang Haitang's immortal physique, which would be very beneficial to his cultivation. Just you wait. Wang Hang stared at Chu Kuangren's back and gritted his teeth. The auction began. The auctioneer was elderly, whom Chu Kuangren had met before. The first item was a piece of Dao source that weighed over 100 kilograms. The starting price was 5 million kilograms of supreme-grade spirit marrow, and it was won by a sect leader of a Dao orthodoxy. Then, a few more items were auctioned off. Chu Kuangren had his eyes on a piece of purple gold of heaven and earth. That piece of purple gold was a rare crafting material, so he wanted to buy it and practice on it when he had the time. 10 million kilograms of spiritual marrow. Chu Kuangren bid. 15 million gene of spiritual marrow. A voice rang out. It was Wang Hang, the heir of the Wang family. 31 million. 40 million. The heir of the Wang clan, Wang Hang, continued to bid. "Oh, it seems like he's going against me." Chu Kuangren smiled playfully. He did not continue to bid. That piece of purple gold was at most 30 million kilograms of spiritual marrow. "What's wrong?" "Brother Chu, if you're not going to continue bidding, then I'll gladly accept this purple gold." Wang Hang smiled provocatively at Chu Kuangren. "Wang Hang, don't go too far." Tang Haitang looked at Wang Hang coldly. Being stared at like this, Wang Hang felt even more upset. The woman he fancied actually targeted him for another man. This made him angrier than anything else. At the auction, whoever has the most soul marrow will get the treasures. "What's the matter, Brother Chu? Are you planning to use the city hall's power to suppress me?" Wang Hang looked at Chu Kuangren and sneered. The more Tang Haitang defended Chu Kuangren, the more he wanted to go against her. "Brother Chu, if you want that purple gold but you don't have enough spirit essence, I can help you bid for it first," Tang Haitang said. Chu Kuangren shook his head. "No need." In the end, the purple gold fell into Wang Hang's hands. He fiddled with the purple gold and looked at Chu Kuangren with a smug expression. Chu Kuangren ignored him. "He's just a clown." After that, a few more items were auctioned, until a black armor was brought up to the stage. The armor was pitch black and carved with ferocious beasts. Mysterious Daoist patterns flowed on it, and it emanated an extraordinary aura. The crowd could not help but breathe heavily when they saw it. This is a Daoist weapon." Not only is it a Daoist weapon, but it's also a top-notch defensive Daoist weapon. It's one of the rarest treasures below the heavenly Daoist weapons. This Daoist weapon is worth at least 1.8 billion spiritual marrow. The crowd stared at the armor with fiery eyes. Even the top cultivation forces in the Mystic Moon ancient city did not have many Daoist lords. If they could get their hands on this Daoist weapon, it would definitely be of great benefit to their forces. This Daoist weapon is mine for the Wang family, Wang Hang said with fiery eyes. Soon, the auction began. 1.81 billion. 1.82 billion. 1.9 billion. 1.95 billion. 2 billion. Not long after, the price of the armor exceeded 2 billion. 2 billion. At that moment Wang Hang spoke. He stood up, looked around, and said, "This Daoist weapon is mine for the Wang family. I hope everyone here can give us some face." He was being polite. However, everyone knew that it was a threat. If they continued to bid, they would be going against the Wang family. In the entire Mystic Moon ancient city, other than the city lord's residence, how many forces would dare to go against the Wang family? At that moment, the representatives of the forces who wanted to continue bidding could not help but stop. If they continued bidding, they might not be able to compete with the Wang family in terms of financial resources, and they would have to risk offending them. It was not worth it to do so. Seeing that, Wang Hang smiled. "Thank you, everyone." 2.3 billion. At that moment, Chu Kuangren suddenly spoke. Wang Hang frowned. 2.4 billion. 2.5 billion. Brother Chu, you couldn't even compete with me for the ores that were worth tens of millions just now, and now you dare to compete with me for this Daoist weapon? Do you even have that much spiritual marrow? Wang Hang said coldly. "I don't think the ores are worth it, so I stopped bidding. But this Daoist weapon, I think it's worth 2 billion. Besides, I don't have any spiritual marrow, but the city lord's residence doesn't have any either, right?" Chu Kuangren smiled. Tang Haitang was taken aback. Then she calmly said, "That's right. I'll pay for everything fellow Daoist Chu bids for. My city lord's mansion isn't that rich, but I can still afford a great Dao tool." The crowd could not help but gasp in surprise. They did not expect Tang Haitang to pay so much for him. Tang Haitang knew that Chu Kuangren was the guest of honor that the Mystic Moon Daoist master brought back, and he was also the one who would help her awaken her immortal physique. Spending a few billion for him was a small matter. Besides, she was quite willing to do it. "TSK, this guy is a playboy who relies on women. I didn't expect him to be someone like that. Why would the city lord's daughter like someone like him? But I have to say I'm jealous. Even if he was living off a woman, not everyone could live off the city lord's daughter. It was also a kind of ability. The Wang family's crown prince did not move her at all, but now, the city lord's daughter was willing to do it for Chu Kuangren. Based on this, Chu Kuangren had 1.6 billion for a pretty boy. 2.7 billion. 3 billion. 3.1 billion. 3.2 billion. Wang Hang's eyes were a little red. 3.2 billion spiritual essence was the most he could mobilize at this moment. Seeing that it was about time, Chu Kuangren stopped bidding. "After saying so much, this Daoist weapon still belongs to me. A pretty boy like you knows the city lord's residence won't spend that much spiritual marrow on you, so you're afraid to bid?" Wang Hang sneered. He felt that he had won again. "Is there no one else? Then I hereby announce that this Daoist weapon belongs to the Wang family." Old Man Li made the final decision. At that moment, Tang Haitang took a closer look at the armor and suddenly gasped. "Brother Chu, didn't you entrust this armor to the 3,000 firm just now? This seems like it." Chu Kuangren chuckled. Everyone was dumbfounded when they heard that. Especially Wang Hang. The treasure that he had spent 3.2 billion spiritual marrow to buy was something that Chu Kuangren did not want anymore. He had been played by Chu Kuangren. Chapter 857. Wang Hang was infuriated. The armor that he had spent 3.2 billion on was something that Chu Kuangren did not want? Moreover, he could have gotten his hands on 2 billion, but he ended up spending an extra billion just to argue with Chu Kuangren. All of that went into Chu Kuangren's pocket. He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode at that thought. D*****. How dare this be ****starred fool me? With a bang, the armrest of Wang Hang's chair was crushed by him. At that moment, Old Man Li had someone bring the black armor up. Looking at the armor before him, a top-notch defensive great Daoist weapon, Wang Hang would have been ecstatic if he had obtained such a treasure in the past. Now, however, it was an eyesore. He even wanted to smash it. However, he suppressed that urge. After all, it was a great Daoist weapon that he had spent 2 billion on. No matter how frustrated he was, he had to swallow it. The auction continued. After spending 2 billion, Wang Hang was much more well-behaved. He didn't bid on some of the items later on. The last item is something that even the 3,000 firms' appraisers can't identify, so I'll just put it up for auction. Everyone, please have a look. Those who are interested can bid for it. Old Man Li smiled. He then asked someone to bring out a black stone. There were faint Daoist patterns on the stone. It was obviously a treasure. However, no one knew what it was used for. The crowd carefully examined it with their emperor's thoughts, trying to peer into the stone's interior. However, their efforts were blocked by the surface of the stone. What a strange stone. Could it be some kind of craftsmanship material? Most ores are craftsmanship materials, so this should be no exception. Who knows? Maybe it's just a stone that's a little strange. Maybe it's useless. The crowd discussed among themselves. Then, the crowd began to bid. There were many who were interested. However, not many were willing to pay such a high price for it. 50 million spiritual essences. Chu Kuangren said. The crowd's interest was piqued when they saw him bid. Especially Wang Hang, who joined in the bidding. 80 million. 100 million. Chu Kuangren continued to bid. At that price, most people gave up on the idea. Only Wang Hang saw that Chu Kuangren was still bidding. Wanting to argue with him, he once again called out a price of 120 million. 150 million. 200 million. Wang Hang looked at Chu Kuangren proudly. On the other hand, Chu Kuangren was silent for a while, as if he was considering whether it was worth it to spend 200 million soul marrow stones on an unknown stone. 200 million spiritual marrow. Is there anyone else bidding? There was silence. Wang Hang was getting anxious. He had just spent 2 billion to buy a great Dao artifact. If he were to spend another 200 million to buy a stone of unknown use, then he would really suffer a huge loss. When he returned, his father would definitely beat him to death. 200 million spiritual essence going once. Wang Hang looked at Chu Kuangren. Brother Chu, why aren't you bidding anymore? Are you unable to raise the price anymore? Hurry up and scream. He roared inside. However, Chu Kuangren just sat there calmly. 200 million spiritual essence going twice. It was over. Wang Hang howled in his heart. Blood loss. If he had known this would happen, he would not have competed with Chu Kuangren. 210 million. Just when Old Man Li was about to close the deal, Chu Kuangren spoke. Everyone looked at him, especially Wang Hang, who let out a sigh of relief and didn't dare to continue bidding. In the end, that unknown stone was bought by Chu Kuangren for a high price of 210 million. Wang Hang sneered. Spending 200 million on a stupid stone, Brother Chu, you sure have a unique hobby. The surrounding people could not help but shake their heads at that. This Wang family's crown prince is too impulsive. If not for him, he would have to pay the 200 million. But why is this person suddenly helping the Wang family's crown prince? Could it be that he really has his eyes on that stone? Chu Kuangren held the black stone in his hand and smiled. Stupid stone? Then open your eyes wide and look. As soon as he said that, a majestic emperor's chi poured out like a torrent and continuously attacked the black stone in his hand. The surface of the black stone began to crack. Beside him, Old Man Li's pupils shrunk. After all, that black stone was indestructible. They had tested it before, and even a Daolord's attack could not damage it at all. Yet now, It was beginning to crack under the impact of Chu Kuangren's Emperor's Qi. No wonder it's a top-notch immortal seed. It's extraordinary. Old Man Li thought to himself. Everyone's attention was drawn to the cracked black stone. As more and more cracks appeared, rays of resplendent purple light shot out from the cracks in the black stone, illuminating the entire hall. Finally, the surface of the black stone fell off completely. A palm-sized purple crystal with faint golden light patterns appeared. Everyone's breathing became heavier when they saw that crystal. This is the purple gold cosmos origin. Old Man Li could not help but exclaim. In the purple gold galaxy, the highest grade of forging material was the purple gold cosmos. Most of the ore veins were controlled by the purple star and gold star planets. It was difficult for an ordinary cultivator to obtain a piece of purple gold. The rarest of the purple gold was the purple gold cosmos origin. Even the purple star and gold star planets did not have many purple gold sources. The palm-sized purple gold source in Chu Kuangren's hand was priceless. It was even more valuable than the top-notch Daoist weapons that were auctioned off earlier. How is this possible? It's the purple gold origin. Wang Heng exclaimed. Then, endless frustration welled up in his heart. How could it be the purple gold origin? If he had held on just a little longer, the purple gold origin would have been his. What kind of treasure did he miss out on? 210 million spiritual marrows for a piece of purple gold origin. This is a huge profit. Brother Chu has a good eye. Indeed, no one knew that this black, unassuming stone hid the purple gold origin. He was the only one who saw it. A Daoist weapon sold for 2 billion and another 200 million for a piece of purple gold origin. He's the biggest winner in this auction. The Wang clan's crown prince was completely fooled by him. I'm afraid this person has an extraordinary background. He doesn't look like someone who lives off a woman. How can someone who lives off a woman casually take out a Daoist weapon to auction? Everyone looked at Chu Kuangren with a strange look in their eyes. Tang Haitang looked at Chu Kuangren with admiration. After the auction ended, Brother Chu, this is the spiritual marrows from the auction. Elderly took out a yin and yang ring and said, Thank you. Chu Kuangren took the yin and yang ring. You're welcome, Brother Chu. After leaving the auction house and returning to the city hall, Chu Kuangren toyed with the purple gold source in his hand. It's all thanks to Xiao AI's analysis that there was such a treasure hidden within that black rock. Otherwise, even I would have been mistaken. Even with the treasure locating skill, Chu Kuangren almost did not discover the purple gold origin. It showed how difficult it was to discover this treasure. With this purple gold origin, the quality of the Descendant Self-Sword can be upgraded to another level, Chu Kuangren murmured as he touched the hilt of the Descendant Self-Sword. That was his goal. As a top-notch craftsman, Chu Kuangren naturally had a way to deal with the purple gold origin and integrate it into the Descendant Self-Sword. Chapter 858. The opening of the full moon secret realm was getting closer and closer. During this time, more and more people came to the mystic moon ancient city, and there were even some rare fairy seeds among them. The full moon secret realm has a spirit, and this spirit is very unique. It likes listening to people recite poems. If someone recites the best poem when the full moon secret realm opens, they will be able to obtain the most moonlight. In the city hall, Tang Haitang was telling Chu Kuangren about the full moon secret realm, and Chu Kuangren was surprised. It was not unusual for a secret realm to have a spirit. Just like how a living star had a heavenly Tao, it was not impossible for a secret realm to give birth to a spirit. However, this secret realm spirit loved listening to people recite poems. That was interesting. The full moon realm will open in a few days. When the time comes, everyone will gather together and hold the full moon festival. Right now, the geniuses of the various cultivation orthodoxies are probably racking their brains, thinking of how to compose a good poem during the festival and take first place in the festival. Tang Haitang said with a smile. Can't we find someone else to do it? No. Only a poem written by the person on the spot can resonate with the full moon secret realm spirit. By the way, Brother Chu, do you know anything about poetry? Tang Haitang asked curiously. A little. Chu Kuangren guessed. He did not know how to compose poems. However, he knew how to recite poems. After all, the country he lived in his past life was a country full of literary talents. He had memorized a bunch of poems from childhood to adulthood. Tang Haitang nodded. She did not have high hopes. In her opinion, Chu Kuangren must have spent all his energy on cultivation. A few days later, the full moon grand meet began. A tall platform rose from the ground in the mystic moon ancient city. The platform was very wide and square, spanning hundreds of kilometers in length and width. This was also the place where the full moon grand meet would be held. It was called the lunar gazebo. As night fell, many people gradually gathered at the lunar gazebo. Look, it's the Lin family's young master. Other than the Lin family's young master, there should also be a Daoist from the shady sky gate. I heard that this person has already entered the heavenly honorable realm at such a young age. She's here, she's here. It's the lunar palace's cold fairy. At this moment, an exclamation came from the crowd. A cold sword light swept across the sky, and the sword light was surrounded by moonlight, faintly revealing an elegant figure. When the sword light dissipated, it turned into a woman. The woman was dressed in a light blue dress. Her figure was graceful, and her hair was like a waterfall. Her face was exquisite, and her skin was as white as snow. She was like a fairy. The Lunar Palace was a faction on par with the Wang clan in Divine Moon City. The difference was that the Wang clan was a noble clan, while the Lunar Palace was a Dao cultivation tradition. As for the Lunar Palace's Fairy Leng, she was the most outstanding female cultivator of the current Lunar Palace. Her strength practically suppressed the younger generation of Divine Moon City. He was known as the #1 person below the celestial seed. Apart from that, Fairy Leng's talent was also extraordinary. She had once composed a poem in 8 steps, causing everyone in the literary world to blush with shame. Fairy Leng would practically participate in every full moon grand gathering, and she would always be the center of attention. Greetings, Fairy Leng. It's been a few years, but Fairy Leng is still as elegant as ever. I wonder what kind of poem Fairy Leng will have in this full moon festival. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, the crowd kept complimenting Fairy Leng. On the other hand, Fairy Leng smiled faintly and looked as if she was indifferent. Or rather, she was already used to such compliments. The crown prince of the Wang clan is here too. At that moment, a young man walked over from nearby. Next to the young man was a man in a luxurious purple robe. The man was handsome and had an air of nobility about him. When the crowd saw him, they could not help but exclaim, "Isn't that Purple Star's Sequence 4, the Celestial Seed, Ziying?" What? A Purple Star Celestial Seed. The crowd gasped when they saw the young man next to Wang Hang. Their eyes were filled with shock when they looked at him. An celestial seed had never been born in Divine Moon City before. An celestial seed would be the center of attention no matter where it was, let alone a Purple Star's Sequence 4. Even Fairy Leng could not help but reveal a surprised expression. The arrival of the Purple Star Celestial Seed has made the Full Moon Festival even more exciting. That's right. I'm Lin Dong from the Lin clan. Nice to meet you. I'm the Li clan leader. Nice to meet you too. The crowd went forward to compliment Ziying. As for Fairy Leng, she was temporarily forgotten by the crowd. Although Fairy Leng was outstanding, she was still the strongest person below the celestial seed. Meanwhile, Ziying was a genuine celestial seed. Cultivator Ziying, let me introduce you. This is Fairy Leng from Lunar Palace in Divine Moon City. Wang Hang introduced Ziying to Fairy Leng. His face was flushed as if he was proud of himself. After all, not everyone could get to know a celestial seed. When Ziying saw Fairy Leng, her eyes were filled with astonishment. She nodded slightly. Nice to meet you, Fairy Leng. Greetings, Cultivator Ziying. Cultivator Ziying, I forgot to tell you. Apart from being talented in cultivation, Fairy Leng is also very talented. Oh, is that so? Ziying was even more surprised. I heard that Cultivator Ziying is the top scholar of Purple Star's literary circle. I'm afraid you won't be impressed by my little tricks. Fairy Leng said with a smile. She had heard that apart from being a Purple Star celestial seed and sequence 4, Xing was also known as the top scholar of Purple Star's literary circle. Huh, Fairy Leng, you're being too polite. The few of them chatted happily. The more Ziying looked at Fairy Leng, the more satisfied she was. She was already looking forward to having a relationship with Fairy Leng. A talented man and a talented woman. It would be a good reputation. Fairy Leng could also tell that Ziying was interested in her, but she did not reject her outright. After all, Ziying was a celestial seed. If she could form a relationship with him, it might be helpful to her cultivation in the future. The rest of the people could not help but click their tongues in wonder. Fairy Leng was cold in front of them, but she seemed to be on the verge of throwing herself at the celestial seed. As expected, one had to look at the background. There was a sudden commotion in the crowd. Who's that young man? He's so handsome. Is there such a person in Divine Moon City? Look, the City Lord's daughter is with him. Ziying, Wang Hang, Fairy Leng, and the others looked over. The crowd automatically parted to form a path. At the end of the path, a man and a woman came together. The woman was the City Lord's daughter. As for the man, he was wearing a gorgeous white robe with a white jade sword hanging from his waist. He was extremely handsome, like an immortal descending to the mortal world. The eyes of the surrounding female cultivators all lit up when they saw that person. Even someone like Fairy Leng could not help but light up. The male cultivators looked at that person with jealousy and envy. It's him. Wang Hang's face became a little gloomy. He still remembered the humiliation at the auction. Cultivator Ziying, this is the man who obtained the purple gold source. Wang Hang said to Ziying next to him. Hearing this, Ziying's eyes narrowed slightly. So the purple gold source is in his hands. Chapter 859. The purple gold source was a very rare casting material in the Purple Star realm. Even the fourth sequence, Ziying did not have any Daoist weapons made from this material. Only the first sequence had one. Ziying looked at Chu Kuangren with a glint in his eyes. He walked forward and said to Chu Kuangren, I am the fourth sequence Ziying of the Purple Star realm. I heard that you have a purple gold source? Chu Kuangren looked at him and nodded. I'm willing to pay a high price for that purple gold source. I heard that you bought it for 200 million spiritual marrow stones. I'm willing to pay double that price. Ziying said. Chu Kuangren looked at him strangely. You're a purple star sequence after all. What's wrong with your brain? What do you mean? Ziying's face turned gloomy. Do I need to tell you how much a purple gold source is worth? I bought it for 200 million because I have a good eye. Now that you know it's a purple gold source, you still want to buy it for double the price? If that's not wrong with your brain, then what is? Chu Kuangren sneered. Ziying's face was a little ugly. He was a purple star sequence. Wherever he went, people would give him face. In his opinion, Chu Kuangren would be afraid of his identity and hand over the purple gold source to him, earning a small fortune. At the same time, he could also do him a favor. Of course, even if Chu Kuangren did not want to sell it, he could just reject it. However, he did not expect to be ridiculed. He had lost face in front of everyone. Beside him, Tang Haitang could not help but laugh when she heard Chu Kuangren's words. After spending some time with Chu Kuangren, she had already figured out Chu Kuangren's personality, and she thought that she had some understanding of him. She knew that he looked humble and gentle, but deep down, he was an arrogant person who could not be more arrogant. If Ziying had met someone else, perhaps they would have given him, the purple star fairy seed, some face. Unfortunately, he met Chu Kuangren. He did not care if he was a purple gold sequence or a fairy seed. If he wanted to take advantage of him, he could just fight him. What are you laughing at? Ziying stared at Tang Haitang coldly. A peerless aura burst forth, threatening the other party. Not only did she lose face, she was even mocked by a woman. In Ziying's opinion, this was absolutely intolerable. The purple star immortal seed only has this much tolerance. Chu Kuangren took a step forward and stood in front of Tang Haitang. His gaze froze, and an even more terrifying aura swept out. As the two invisible forces collided, Zi Ying's expression couldn't help but change. Her body trembled and she fell into an absolute disadvantage. Everyone's pupils constricted slightly when they saw this. The purple star echelon was actually at a disadvantage. How could this be? Meanwhile, some of the female cultivators looked at Chu Kuangren with sparkling eyes. The hero saves the damsel in distress. Wow, he's so handsome and romantic. A guest of the Dao Lord of the Moon God sect, surnamed Chu. I know who you are. After suffering another loss, Zi Ying stared at Chu Kuangren. Suddenly, a name that she had been hearing for some time appeared in her mind. You're Chu Kuangren? The crowd burst into an uproar. Chu Kuangren. They were all very familiar with this name. It was the most popular name in the Purple Gold Galaxy recently. He's Chu Kuangren, the peerless celestial seed who single-handedly defeated so many celestial seeds. No wonder he could make Zi Ying suffer. So it's him. The one who was the most shocked was Wang Hang. He did not expect that the person he fought against at the auction was Chu Kuangren, a peerless celestial seed. No wonder Chu Kuangren did not take him seriously. So this was his identity. Chu Kuangren only smiled when his identity was exposed. At that moment, ripples appeared in the void. High up in the sky, a bright moon appeared, forming a miraculous scene of two moons in the night sky. Under the bright moon, moonlight shone on the full moon platform. The full moon's secret realm has appeared. Look, it's moonlight. Some of the cultivators were overjoyed when they saw this. They channeled their emperor's qi to absorb the moonlight into their bodies. The bright moon returns, the moon rises and the bell is heard. At that moment, one of the cultivators yelled. It was a poem. The moment the poem was completed, a large amount of moonlight surged towards that cultivator. The light was more than 100 feet tall. That cultivator did not dare to be careless. He sat down with his legs crossed and absorbed the moonlight. Me too. Me too. For a moment, some of the prepared cultivators recited the poems that they had prepared beforehand, gathering the moonlight's splendor. Not long after, beams of moonlight formed into pillars of light. The shortest one was more than 100 feet tall, and the longest one was more than 100 feet tall. Absorbing the moonlight is more important. Zi Ying snorted coldly. He stood on the spot, calmed his heart, and began to compose a poem. Flying geese fly across Dongting in autumn, the autumn wind never feels cold. At that moment, Fairy Leng also began to compose a poem. The moment she spoke, it immediately attracted the attention of many people. Countless people's eyes were on her. Good poem, as expected of Fairy Leng. Before the poem was finished, a group of people were already complimenting her. However, as a famous talented woman in the Mystic Moon ancient city, Fairy Leng naturally had some ability. After she finished reciting, a large amount of moonlight suddenly surged towards her, forming a 900-foot-tall moonlight pillar. The light was so dazzling that it instantly covered everyone else. Amazing as expected of Fairy Leng. Yeah, she's too powerful. Of course, talented woman is not a joke. At that moment, Wang Hang also began to recite a poem. Although it was not as good as Fairy Leng's, it still attracted a lot of moonlight and formed a 500-foot-tall light pillar. It was very eye-catching. Tang Haitang did not want to be outdone, so she simply recited a few lines. A 500-foot-tall light pillar erupted beside Chu Kuangren. As the cultivators recited their poems one by one, the light pillars also rose into the sky. Those who could not compose a poem could only stare blankly, scratching their heads. I got it. At that moment, the eyes of a burly man beside Chu Kuangren lit up and he said loudly, "The moon is round and round, like a big disc." The moonlight flowed and surged towards that burly man. Chu Kuangren was stunned. Was that even possible? Why is it so little? The burly man looked at the less than 10-foot-tall moonlight on his body and was suddenly angry. Chu Kuangren was speechless. How much more do you want with your standards, brother? The Crimson Emperor clearly sits on the moon, separated by the forest, separated by the bright moon in the sky. At that moment, Xiang spoke. As his voice rang out, countless moonlights surged towards him, forming a huge moonlight pillar that was more than 1,000 feet tall. Seeing that, the crowd was amazed. Amazing, he's even better than Fairy Lung. Yeah, no wonder he's the #1 scholar of Purple Star. Amazing, amazing. Xiang stood in the moonlight pillar and looked at Chu Kuangren with a slight smile on her face. Brother Chu, why don't I see you compose a poem? Yeah, what else would you do at full moon Sheng if not compose a poem? Wang Hang also jeered at the side. The crowd looked at Chu Kuangren with a playful look. I'm afraid that if I compose a poem, all of you will lose your luster. Chu Kuangren said calmly. What's the point of just saying it? Just do it. Xiang snorted. Then as you wish. Chu Kuangren stood with his hands behind his back. He took a step forward and soared into the sky. His voice instantly echoed, "When will the moon appear?" Chapter 860. When will the moon appear? Just as Chu Kuangren spoke. Suddenly, the world was silent. The moonlight in the surroundings stopped circulating at the same time. Seeing this, everyone's pupils shrank slightly. What was going on? The poem had just begun, and it had already triggered such a phenomenon. With a cup of wine, I asked the clear sky, boom. The surrounding moonlight instantly boiled. Countless rays of moonlight gushed towards Chu Kuangren like rivers returning to the sea, converging to form a gigantic pillar of light that was more than 10,000 feet tall. The moonlight illuminated the sky. All the cultivators in the Mystic Moon ancient city could see it from afar and were all attracted by it. At the same time, Chu Kuangren's voice echoed from the light pillar. When will the moon be clear? I asked the clear sky with a cup of wine. Countless cultivators in the ancient city of Mystic Moon heard this poem. Countless people murmured this poem, and their eyes became brighter and brighter. Who wrote this poem? What a great poem! It can actually resonate with the entire full moon secret realm. This poem seems to be incomplete. Everyone was shocked. A poem that wasn't even finished yet was able to resonate with the entire full moon secret realm. What an exquisite poem it was. Could it be that the immortal poet had descended to the mortal world? Full moon platform. Chu Kuangren's entire body was shrouded in endless moonlight as he continued to chant. I wonder what year it is, Heavenly Palace. I wish to ride the wind to return home, but I fear that the jade mansions are too high and too cold. Turning to the vermilion pavilion, lowly and beautiful. I should not hate. Chu Kuangren's voice echoed throughout the entire Mystic Moon ancient city. When everyone heard this poem, they were all intoxicated. Even the Tao Lord was deeply captivated by the concept within. High up in the sky, the bright moon trembled violently. Countless rays of moonlight gushed out from it and surged towards Chu Kuangren. The 30,000 feet long moonlight pillar was also continuously increasing in height. 10,000 zhang, 1,000,000 zhang, 200,000 zhang, 1,000,000 zhang. The incomparable moonlight covered the sky. It could no longer be described with numbers, it was as if it was limitless. The resplendent moonlight covered the entire Mystic Moon ancient city, illuminating the night sky as if it was daytime, as if it was lighting up the universe. Everyone was immersed in the beauty of the poem, unable to extricate themselves. May we live together for a long time, as the last line of the poem fell. The bright moon in the sky also stopped shaking. However, the boundless radiance continued to gush out. Everyone was unable to regain their senses for a long time. On the full moon platform, everyone looked at the peerless figure in white who was enveloped by the moonlight. Their expressions were shocked, as if they had lost the ability to speak. Compared to the other party, their poems were worse than dog shit. The moonlight on their bodies had already surged towards Chu Kuangren when he was halfway through reciting his poem. At this moment, there was not a bit of moonlight on their bodies. Fellow Daoist Chu, you're too strong. Tang Haitang stared at Chu Kuangren's back with an intoxicated look on her face. She still remembered the time when she asked Chu Kuangren if he knew how to compose poems. His answer was a little. How was this just a little bit? He was practically a god of poetry. Modest, powerful, and good-looking. How could there be such a perfect man in this world? The more Tang Haitang thought about it, the more infatuated she became. The rest of the female cultivators were also filled with admiration. Even Leng Xianzi could not help but look at Chu Kuangren with admiration. Compared to Chu Kuangren, the Purple Star Fourth Sequence Master, the immortal Seed Ziying, who was standing beside her, seemed to pale in comparison. It was not even worth mentioning. No, there was no comparison between the two. How could this be? How? How is this possible? Ziying and Wang Hang were already dumbfounded. Were they provoking Chu Kuangren just now? Saying that Chu Kuangren did not know how to compose poems? F***ck. If Chu Kuangren did not know how to compose poems, then no one in the universe could. They felt like they were just a bunch of clowns just now. Amidst the moonlight, Chu Kuangren's universal cauldron physique was activated to its limit. The endless moonlight was converted into pure spiritual qi, which was then converted into Emperor's qi. His cultivation base was also increasing rapidly. Boom! An explosion was heard from within his body. It was as if a barrier had been broken. At that moment, Chu Kuangren had officially ascended into the Daoist Lord realm. There was still a lot of moonlight around him. Even with Chu Kuangren's cultivation base, it would still take him some time to absorb all of it. With a thought, his universal cauldron physique was activated to its limit, absorbing the endless moonlight into his body and temporarily storing it. After a while, the moonlight gradually dissipated. However, the crowd's shock had not completely subsided. The entire Mystic Moon ancient city was in an unprecedented state of shock. Who is it? Who is composing a poem? A poem can cause such a huge commotion in the full moon secret realm. Could it really be the arrival of the poem deity? It's too scary. I've never seen such an endless amount of moonlight before. I'm afraid all the moonlight in the full moon secret realm has surged out. All the cultivators looked in the direction of the full moon platform in shock. Surges of Emperor's thoughts gushed out and peaked at the full moon platform. At that moment, in the sky, the bright moon that represented the full moon secret realm suddenly trembled before it shattered into countless specks of light. Within those specks of light, a white ray of light flew towards Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren grabbed that white light. When the white light faded, it turned into a crystal-clear jade stone. The Daoist patterns on the jade stone were extremely mysterious. Could that be the moonlight essence? Suddenly, someone exclaimed. The moonlight essence was a supreme treasure that could only be formed by the condensation of countless moonlight. It was a treasure that only existed in the purple gold galaxy's legends. By the heavens, this must be the moonlight essence. Rumor has it that countless years ago, someone obtained the moonlight essence and eventually became an immortal. The moonlight essence is a supreme treasure that allows one to gain insight into the origin. Everyone stared at the moonlight essence in Chu Kuangren's hand with bloodshot eyes. Even their breathing became extremely heavy. To become an immortal, one must first gain insight into the origin and cultivate it. This moonlight essence was a supreme treasure that could allow a cultivator to gain insight into the origin. In other words, it could help one become an immortal. Chu Kuangren, hand over the moonlight essence. At that moment, Ziying yelled. He stared at the moonlight essence with an unprecedented passion in his eyes. If he could obtain the moonlight essence and gain insight into the origin, then he could replace the Purple Star Sequence 1 and become the new Sequence 1. How could he not be excited? He was not the only one who was excited. Everyone who saw the moonlight essence, including the strong cultivators who were hiding in the Mystic Moon ancient city, could not remain calm. You want it? Come and get it yourself, Chu Kuangren said as he played with the moonlight essence in his hand. Ziying could not care less anymore. He pulled out a sword and in a flash, he flew towards Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren focused his sword fingers and casually unleashed a sword chi. The sword chi clashed with the sword. Then, the sword shattered and Ziying was sent flying dozens of feet away, revealing the purple inner armor on his body. It was a defensive Daoist weapon. Brother Wang, help me get the moonlight essence, Ziying shouted at Wang Hang. However, Wang Hang was a little hesitant. It was an opportunity before him. If he helped Ziying, he would be able to gain his friendship and even form a connection with the Purple Star tribe. However, Chu Kuangren was powerful. Rumor had it that he could defeat a group of immortal seeds. Wang Hang was afraid that his strength was not enough. As for whether or not the other party had a powerful background, he was not afraid. As far as he knew, the civilization that the other party came from was not considered powerful. Chapter 861. I'll do it. Wang Hang gritted his teeth and said, this was a chance to befriend the Purple Star tribe, so he could not miss it. Although he knew he was no match for Chu Kuangren, all he had to do was put on a show. There was no need for him to fight Chu Kuangren to the death. He was confident that although he was not an immortal seed, he was still a top-notch sky pride. With some treasures on him, he could protect himself. Chu Kuangren, don't you dare hurt Brother Ziying. Wang Hang yelled. He made his move. A black longsword suddenly appeared in his hand, and with a single slash, it sliced through the pitch-black night sky and headed straight for Chu Kuangren. Mayflies trying to shake a tree. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. He gently raised his hand and casually struck out. Surging Emperor Qi struck Wang Hang's body and immediately sent him flying. Amidst the explosion, the long saber shattered, and his robe exploded. A black armor appeared on Wang Hang's body. It was the top-notch defensive Daoist weapon that he bought at the auction for 2 billion soul marrow stones. Chu Kuangren, this Daoist weapon of yours is not bad. Wang Hang said coldly. It was because of this Daoist weapon that he dared to attack Chu Kuangren. It seems that this Daoist weapon of mine has given you some confidence. Chu Kuangren said calmly. His figure flashed and disappeared into the void. Wang Hang's eyes widened. Where did he go? Brother Wang, behind you. Ziying shouted. Not good. Without another word, Wang Hang channeled his emperor's qi to its limit and unleashed his Daoist master's strength as he threw a punch behind him. Boom. That punch landed directly on Chu Kuangren's chest. I did it. Wang Hang was delighted. However, his expression soon turned into one of fear. That was because he realized that his punch seemed to have landed on an indestructible wall. He could not hurt Chu Kuangren at all. A defensive Daoist weapon. This white robe is a defensive Daoist weapon. Wang Hang was stunned. He finally understood why Chu Kuangren was willing to auction off a top-notch defensive Daoist weapon. It was because he did not lack it. With a defensive Daoist weapon, this Daoist weapon was too weak. Retreat. Wang Hang immediately tried to retreat. However, before he could even take 2 steps, Chu Kuangren's figure was already right behind him. Where do you think you're going? Chu Kuangren clenched his fist and unleashed a powerful punch. Bang! A loud explosion erupted in the void. Wang Hang's armor caved in and cracked inch by inch. The terrifying fist energy penetrated the armor and landed on his body. Puff! Wang Hang vomited blood. Then, his arm was grabbed by Chu Kuangren, and his entire body was lifted into the air before he was smashed left and right on the ground. The entire full moon platform was shaking. Seeing this, everyone could not help but swallow their saliva. Too violent. It was too bloody. Chu Kuangren casually tossed Wang Hang aside. The armor on his body had long been shattered beyond recognition. Wang Hang himself was on the verge of death. You want to keep your life in front of me with a piece of trash that I don't want? Don't you think it's ridiculous? Chu Kuangren lifted his foot and stepped on his opponent's chest with an indifferent expression. Let me go. Wang Hang begged with a trembling voice. He regretted it. He did not expect Chu Kuangren to be this powerful. Even with a top-notch great Daoist weapon, he could not withstand even half of Chu Kuangren's attack. Be more mindful in your next life. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Boom. The next moment, a terrifying energy erupted, and Wang Hang's entire body exploded. Large amounts of flesh and blood shot out from Chu Kuangren's feet. No! From afar, an enraged voice was heard. A few figures flew over. They were the Wang family's Daoist masters. They looked at Chu Kuangren with shock and intense hatred. You dare to kill the Wang family's crown prince? You must be tired of living. A Daoist emperor's chi swirled and transformed into a giant golden hand that slammed towards Chu Kuangren. I don't mind killing a few more. Chu Kuangren yelled and clenched his fist. Emperor's chi and Daoist patterns intertwined, and the invincible celestial reversal technique was unleashed. The majestic fist force was like a flood, instantly destroying the giant golden hand. The Daoist master's pupils contracted as he was enveloped by the fist energy. After letting out a scream, his body exploded into a cloud of blood mist. What? The pupils of the remaining great Dao lords constricted, and they were slightly shocked. Killing a Daoist master with just a lift of his hand. For a sky pride to have such strength was just too terrifying. Even if it was an exceptional immortal seed, it was still too much. At that moment, a terrifying domineering aura erupted from afar and crashed towards the lunar gazing platform. Chu Kuangren, you're courting death. A cold voice resounded. The Wang family's Daoist masters were delighted. It's the forefather. The forefather is about to make his move. The Wang family's forefather, the only heavenly Dao master of the Wang family. Who's the one courting death? In the Mystic Moon Ancient City Hall, a giant sword shadow suddenly rose into the air and slashed towards the Wang family's direction. With a loud bang, the giant sword shadow collided with a terrifying force, and the entire Mystic Moon Ancient City shook. After the collision, the Wang family's forefather's aura rapidly weakened, and there was no longer any movement. The Wang family's Daoist masters were in disbelief at that scene. One move, just one move, and the forefather of the Wang family was suppressed. They were all heavenly Daoist masters, but the gap between them was just too big. Is this the Mystic Moon Daoist master's strength? How powerful! As expected of one of the most powerful Daoist masters in the Purple Gold Galaxy. Even if he can't become an immortal in the future, he'll still be a top-notch false immortal. After all, he was also a top-notch immortal seed back then. The cultivators in the Mystic Moon Ancient City were speechless. Meanwhile, on the lunar gazing platform, Chu Kuangren looked at the Wang family's Daoist masters and smiled playfully. It seems like your biggest backer is gone. After that, he raised his hand to gather Emperor's Qi and unleashed a technique. Since Chu Kuangren had become a Daoist master, the power of this technique had risen to another level. Thousands of spiritual soldiers gathered and locked onto the Daoist masters. He let out a soft roar. Countless spiritual soldiers rained down on the Daoist masters like a storm. Quick, block it. What a terrifying aura. How can he be so powerful? Even if he has become a Daoist master, it's still unbelievable for him to be this powerful. This monster, boom, 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 waves of turbulent energy erupted in the void, and the few Daoist masters were soon injured under the attacks of the spiritual soldiers. A figure dashed out of the turbulent energy with a light barrier around him that repelled the spiritual soldiers around him. It was obviously a powerful defensive Daoist weapon. Chu Kuangren, go to hell. With the help of this powerful defensive Daoist weapon, the Daoist master rushed towards Chu Kuangren and stabbed at him with a spear in his hand. The spear was like a dragon with a cold glint. But at that moment, the sound of a sword chime was heard. A purple sword ray lit up the night sky like a beautiful meteor. The sword ray sliced through the spear ray. The spear broke with a clang, and the defensive chi barrier around the Daoist master was torn in half like a bubble. A mist of blood gushed out. The Daoist master was torn in half by the sword ray. Unknowingly, the descendant self-sword had been unsheathed and was now in Chu Kuangren's hand. The white jade-like blade was pure and flawless, and it complemented Chu Kuangren's gorgeous white wide-sleeved robe. With the descendant self-sword in hand, Chu Kuangren's figure flickered in the void like a ghost. His sword chi circulated, and the Daoist masters who were already injured fell one by one. Now you're the only one left. Chu Kuangren calmly looked at the immortal seed Ziying not far away. Her face was as pale as a sheet. Chapter 862. You're the only one left now. Chu Kuangren looked at the pale-faced Ziying and said calmly. Ziying looked at Chu Kuangren, who was closing in on him with fear in his eyes. He had been wanting to leave since the beginning. However, there was a qi flow that had been locked onto him. Whenever he moved, that qi flow would follow him. There was no way he could escape. The man in front of him was so powerful that he could not escape even if he wanted to. The two of them were not on the same level. Chu Kuangren, I'm from the Purple Star Tribe. If you dare to kill me, the Purple Star Tribe will retaliate fiercely. You have to think this through, Ziying said with a trembling voice. The thing I can't stand the most in my life is threats. Chu Kuangren deflected his sword. A streak of sword qi suddenly shot out. Ziying was torn apart by the sword qi along with his inner armor. The Purple Star Celestial Seed had fallen. The people around them could not help but shiver when they saw that. They did not expect Chu Kuangren to be so decisive. He even killed the Celestial Seed without hesitation. This lunatic, how dare he kill the Purple Star Celestial Seed in front of everyone? Isn't he afraid of the Purple Star Tribe's revenge? The Mystic Moon ancient city won't be able to protect him. The people discussed among themselves. Tang Haitang looked at Chu Kuangren worriedly. No matter what, Ziying was still a celestial seed. If Chu Kuangren was killed just like that, the Purple Star Tribe would never forgive him. No matter how strong Chu Kuangren was, how could he fight the entire Purple Star Tribe? Purple Star Tribe. It seems like we're destined to fight to the death. Chu Kuangren murmured. The full moon pageant was over. Moreover, it ended in a way that no one had expected. The fall of Ziying's celestial seed, the Wang family's elder, and the mystic moon Daoist master. These were all things that no one had expected. However, what shocked everyone more was Chu Kuangren's poem. The poem that lit up the dark universe. After the full moon pageant, Chu Kuangren and his poem spread like wildfire. Everyone in the Mystic Moon ancient city knew about it. Even the entire purple gold galaxy was circulating. When will the moon be clear? Holding a cup of wine, I ask the clear sky. What a good poem. With just a few lines, I can vaguely see the scene of a person drinking alone under the moonlight. It's lonely and heroic. It's really breathtaking. Not bad. This poem is enough to be recorded in the annals of history. Also, the full moon secret realm shook because of this poem. Endless moonlight gushed out, and a secret treasure like moonlight essence appeared. Chu Kuangren, what an amazing and talented Chu Kuangren. This person's talent is unprecedented. This person can be called the god of poetry. In the entire Mystic Moon ancient city, everyone was talking about the upcoming full moon meet. They were all talking about Chu Kuangren and his poem. No one knew who it was that gave rise to the title of immortal poet. All of a sudden, the immortal poet Chu Kuangren's name was known throughout the world. Countless cultivators and socialites were fascinated by it. You guys have still underestimated Chu Kuangren. Not only is he good at composing poems, but don't forget that he's also a top-notch immortal seed. He killed a Daoist lord with a single slash of his sword. That sword technique of his is unbelievably powerful. That's right. That sword technique was truly terrifying. I heard that this person also has a sword Dao immortal technique that he used to defeat several immortal seeds with. In just a few days, the title of immortal poet had been changed to poetic sword sage. Poetic sword sage, poetic sword sage. Inside the city hall, the famous poetic sword sage, Chu Kuangren, was currently refining the Descendant Self-Sword with the Phoenix Fire. He was infusing the purple gold source into the Descendant Self-Sword. It's done. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up as he put away the Phoenix Fire. At that moment, the Descendant Self-Sword was shining brightly. The white jade-like sword body shimmered with a faint white light under the sunlight, and there was a faint purple qi circulating around it. The Descendant Self-Sword had been completely upgraded to a heavenly Dao weapon. With this sword, Chu Kuangren's combat strength would increase a little more. Good sword. Beside him, a voice of admiration was heard. The Mystic Moon Daoist Lord walked up. He looked at the Descendant Self-Sword. The poetic sword sage is not only proficient in both sword and poetry. There are very few people in this world who can match his skill in refining. Poetic sword sage? Chu Kuangren was stunned for a moment. He had not gone out for the past 2 days, and he did not use his emperor's thought to keep up with the news from the outside world. Instead, he was wholeheartedly focused on upgrading the Descendant Self-Sword. Since when did he gain the title of Poetic Sword Sage? Brother Chu, during the full moon meet, your poem caused the secret realm to tremble, and the moonlight shone brightly. Then, you slayed a great Dao master with your sword. It could be said that it was a night of romance. The title of Poetic Sword God is well-deserved. The mystic moon Daoist lord smiled. Poetic Sword Sage. Chu Kuangren smiled helplessly. However, this title sounded quite cool. Although it was a little shameful to plagiarize Su Shi's poem, no one in this world knew about it, so it should not be a big problem. By the way, Brother Chu, the materials you asked me to prepare for Haitong's immortal physique awakening are almost ready. The mystic moon Daoist lord suddenly said solemnly. Alright, got it. Chu Kuangren's expression also became serious. Not long after, the materials for the immortal physique awakening were almost ready. Chu Kuangren refined these materials into a medicinal pill before he left the ancient mystic moon star with the mystic moon Daoist master and Tang Haiti. On a star that was covered in ice and snow all year round. Chu Kuangren, Tang Haitang, and the mystic moon Daoist lord arrived. After they arrived, a white-haired old man in a white robe appeared in the void. It was the imaginary immortal of mortal heaven. Senior Mortal Heaven. The mystic moon Daoist lord and Tang Haitang bowed respectfully. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly as well. Although he and the imaginary immortal of mortal heaven had not known each other for long, they appreciated each other and could be said to be good friends. There was no need for formalities. Senior, is the formation ready? Chu Kuangren said. In order to awaken Tang Haitang's immortal physique, he and the mystic moon Daoist lord had asked the imaginary immortal of mortal heaven for help. It's ready. The imaginary immortal of mortal heaven nodded. He then brought them to the peak of a snowy mountain. Then let's begin. Chu Kuangren said as he took out a medicinal pill and handed it to Tang Haitang. This is the heavenly frost pill that I refined. Miss Tang, it will increase your absorption rate of frost qi. Tang Haitang nodded and took the medicinal pill. Beside her, the imaginary immortal of mortal heaven was amazed. Brother Chu, you sure hid your skills well. I didn't know that you know alchemy. I know a little. A little again. The imaginary immortal of mortal heaven smiled playfully and said, by the way, I've also seen your full moon poem. It's amazing. I didn't expect you to have such attainments in poetry. Just a little, just a little. Chu Kuangren rubbed his nose. He was not lying. When it came to poetry, he really only knew a little. He only knew how to recite poems. Obviously, the imaginary immortal of mortal heaven did not believe him. Beside him, after Tang Haitang consumed the medicinal pill, the surrounding frost qi rushed towards her like rivers flowing into the sea. The imaginary immortal of mortal heaven waved his sleeve and activated the formation. Countless Daoist patterns flowed on the mountains and rivers, covering the entire planet. A huge amount of frost qi rushed towards the peak of the snowy mountain. In the blink of an eye, Tang Haitang was frozen into an ice sculpture. Her life force and aura were completely frozen. Chapter 863. On a snowy mountain on the icy star. Frosty qi covered Tang Haitang's body and froze her. The divine moon Daoist master could not help but feel anxious when he saw that. Chu Kuangren saw that and said, rest assured, brother divine moon. I guarantee with my life that nothing will happen to Miss Tang. Alright, I believe you. The divine moon Daoist master was slightly relieved. The frosty qi from the surroundings continued to gather and flow into Tang Haitang's body. Although Tang Haitang's body did not show any signs of life, it was like a bottomless pit that absorbed all the frosty qi. That meant that her body was still functioning. Her vitality was frozen, but her body was still functioning. Such a contradictory thing happened to Tang Haitang. 3 days later, Tang Haitang had absorbed almost all the icy spiritual power of the entire star. Master, the time has come. At that moment, the omniscient spirit, Xiao AI, reminded Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren nodded. Understood. He focused his gaze. Then he opened his palm. A ball of golden red phoenix fire circulated in his palm. The phoenix fire gushed out and completely enveloped the ice that sealed Tang Haitang. This is the phoenix fire. The imaginary immortal mortal sky's gaze froze. Chu Kuangren could use the flames that only the godly phoenix could. Little friend Chu's surprises are really endless. The imaginary immortal mortal sky exclaimed. He was even more certain that Chu Kuangren had the potential to become an immortal. Under the combination of ice and fire, the frozen Tang Haitang had a slight reaction. She frowned as if she was feeling uncomfortable. At the same time, within her body, a terrifying power that had been sealed for a long time was brewing. Under the stimulation of the ice and fire, it was ready to burst out. Chu Kuangren activated the book of physique within his body. Suddenly, the power within Tang Haitang's body turned into countless intertwining mysterious Daoist patterns that he analyzed one by one. With the awakening of the immortal physique, the originally blurry Daoist patterns have also become clearer. When Miss Tang fully awakens her immortal physique, I'll be able to analyze her immortal physique and use it for myself. Chu Kuangren murmured. Time passed. Under the dual stimulation of the phoenix fire and the power of ice, the power within Tang Haitang's body became more and more uncontrollable. Upon seeing that, Chu Kuangren put away his phoenix flames and broke the ice. He condensed his sword fingers, and a little flame condensed on his fingertips. Then, the flame turned into a slender fire needle and pierced into Tang Haitang's body. In order to help Tang Haitang awaken her immortal physique, Chu Kuangren combined alchemy, formation techniques, phoenix flames, and medical skills. Moreover, he had very high requirements for each of them. If any of them were not up to standard, the immortal physique would not be awakened. It was obvious how difficult it was to awaken a celestial physique. It was also because Tang Haitang's immortal body had yet to awaken. When the phoenix fire needle entered her body, Tang Haitang suddenly opened her eyes. Her eyes were snow-white like ice crystals. Along with a long roar, countless Dao patterns appeared on the surface of her body, and a terrifying chill spread out with her as the center. The wind and snow in the surroundings froze. The entire icy star was enveloped by the cold air that erupted from the immortal body. It was as if it had turned into an iceberg floating in the universe, filled with cold air. The awakening of the immortal physique could freeze the stars. This is an ice immortal physique. The imaginary immortal mortal sky was a little surprised. Then, he sensed that the immortal physique was constantly emitting powerful fluctuations. His expression changed slightly, and he quickly used his imaginary immortal strength to envelop the surroundings. White chi rays spread out and turned into a chi barrier. The immortal physique's power collided with the chi barrier. Under the impact of the two peerless powers, the entire star trembled. You've just awakened, but you already have such powerful strength. What a celestial physique! The imaginary immortal mortal sky was amazed. This was also one of the reasons why Chu Kuangren asked him to come. Only the imaginary immortal strength could completely isolate the fluctuations emitted when the immortal physique was awakened, and it would not be noticed by other forces. Otherwise, an immortal physique would cause an uproar in the entire purple gold galaxy. Those civilizations and orthodoxies would not be able to sit still. If the immortal physique could not be used by them, for the sake of their status, there was a high chance that they would be killed. Such was the cruel law of the universe. Analyze. Chu Kuangren was the closest to Tang Haitang. In his eyes, there seemed to be countless mysterious runes or Daoist patterns swirling around, unsure if they were runes or Dao patterns. He had a clear view of the immortal physique, and it was continuously analyzed through the Book of Physiques before being integrated into it. So, in the Book of Physiques, a brand new powerful physique was taking shape. 4 large words appeared on the page. Lunar Immortal Physique. That was the immortal physique that Tang Haitang possessed. It was also one of the physiques that Chu Kuangren would possess in the future. I've succeeded. Chu Kuangren grinned. Meanwhile, the immortal physique fluctuations on Tang Haitang's body gradually receded, and her crystal-like eyes returned to their normal state. However, she knew that she had become different. She could clearly feel the power contained within her body. It was a power that she did not even dare to imagine in the past. Heavenly honorable. I can't believe I've broken through to the heavenly honorable realm. Tang Haitang was extremely shocked. With the awakening of the immortal physique, her cultivation had instantly broken through from the ordinary early emperor realm to the heavenly honorable realm, and it was even an upper heavenly honorable. She had crossed several realms. The power of the immortal physique left the imaginary immortal sky immortal and the mystical moon Daoist speechless. Is this the immortal physique? It's indeed terrifying. I can feel that this body contains a huge growth potential. I'm afraid that even the Purple Star and Golden Star's first sequence cultivators would not be able to match the growth potential of this immortal physique. Even though they were all immortal seeds, their growth potential was different. Sometimes, the difference could be huge. If the other immortal seeds had a 1% chance of becoming an immortal, then Tang Haitang's immortal physique would have a 10% chance of becoming an immortal. Sometimes, it could even be more than 10%. That's great, that's great. The Divine Moon Daoist Master looked at Tang Haitang with excitement. Now that his daughter had an immortal physique, it meant that she had a bright future ahead of her. As a father, how could he not be happy? He looked at Chu Kuangren and said with a serious expression, "Brother Chu, I'll remember your kindness. If there's anything you need from me in the future, don't hesitate to ask. As long as it's within my capabilities, I won't refuse." "You're too kind, Brother Divine Moon." Chu Kuangren smiled gently. He had benefited greatly from helping Tang Haitang awaken her immortal physique, perhaps even more than Tang Haiti. The mysteries of the physique tome were not something the Dust Sky Illusionary Immortal and the Divine Moon Daoist Master could imagine. After helping Tang Haitang awaken her immortal physique, the Dust Sky Illusionary Immortal returned to his Dust Sky Star while Chu Kuangren and the others returned to the Mystic Moon Ancient City. Once they were back in the city, Chu Kuangren immediately went into closed-door meditation. He wanted to familiarize himself with the power of his immortal physique. Besides that, there was still a lot of moonlight that he had yet to absorb from the full moon meet, and he also needed to study the lunar essence. All in all, he had gained a lot. It was so much that he could not handle it all at the moment. Besides him, Tang Haitang also needed to go into closed-door meditation. Things were much simpler for her as she only needed to go into closed-door meditation to familiarize herself with her immortal physique. While both of them were in closed-door meditation, something big happened in the outside world. The Purple Star's second-rank Sky Pride had successfully broken through to the Great Tao Lord Realm and challenged the first-rank Sky Pride. In the end, it ended in failure. That battle had moved many veteran powerhouses. However, the Purple Star's second-rank Sky Pride, Zi Tianhen, had turned around and challenged the poetic sword fairy, Chu Kuangren, causing an uproar. Chapter 864. Have you heard? The Purple Star second sequence Zi Tianhen has broken through to the Daoist Master Realm. Not only that, but he also wants to challenge Chu Kuangren. Of course, news of this has spread. Also, I heard that before this, Zi Tianhen had once challenged the first sequence, Zi Xiao, but unfortunately, he was defeated. The second sequence has broken through to the level of a great Tao Lord, but he is still no match for the first sequence. Zi Xiao is really too strong. That's right. As expected of one of the two strongest in the Purple Gold Galaxy. Now that Zi Tianhen has challenged Chu Kuangren to a duel, Chu Kuangren's previous battle results are very impressive. First, he defeated a group of immortal seeds, then he killed the fourth sequence cultivator, Ziying. Perhaps he can really fight Zi Tianhen. I knew that the Purple Star sect wouldn't let Chu Kuangren off so easily, but I didn't expect them to take action so soon, and in such a manner too. All the major forces in the Purple Gold Galaxy had their eyes on this duel. As one of the duelists, Zi Tianhen had already headed towards the Mystic Moon Ancient City when he issued the challenge. However, when he arrived at the Mystic Moon Ancient City, he heard from the Mystic Moon Daoist Lord that Chu Kuangren was in a closed-door meditation. I will wait for him outside the ancient Mystic Moon City. When he comes out, tell him that he has to accept this battle, whether he wants it or not. Zi Tianhen said proudly. After that, he turned around and left. He stopped on an uninhabited star outside the Mystic Moon Ancient City, waiting for Chu Kuangren to come and fight him. At the same time, he also sent many people to keep an eye on the city lord's mansion. Zi Tianhen would know the moment Chu Kuangren appeared. In the city lord's mansion, Chu Kuangren was currently in a closed-door meditation to refine the lunar radiance. That massive amount of lunar radiance was enough to elevate his cultivation to another level. Apart from the moonlight, he was also comprehending the power of the immortal physique. The power of the immortal physique was indeed extraordinary. It gave Chu Kuangren the ability to manipulate frost qi and gave him a unique advantage in the frost cultivation Dao, allowing his cultivation speed to far exceed that of other cultivators. However, Chu Kuangren did not intend to focus solely on the frost Dao. He had his own path to walk. The Guang Han immortal physique was just a supplementary method to him. Apart from the immortal body and moonlight, what Chu Kuangren cared about the most was the lunar essence. A moon spirit that can comprehend origin energy? I can't help but pay attention to this. Chu Kuangren fiddled with the lunar essence in his hand. Immortals controlled the power of origin. In order to become an immortal, one had to first comprehend the power of origin. However, this barrier alone had already stopped 99% of the cultivators in the world. In the universe, treasures or techniques that could help cultivators comprehend the origin energy were mostly priceless items, such as this moonlight essence. Chu Kuangren held the lunar essence in his hand and began to refine it. In a trance, his consciousness left his body and arrived at a colorful and mysterious space. Chu Kuangren saw a flaming meteor fly past him, saw a blizzard erupt, and saw a towering tree rise from the ground. Every scene had its own unique Daoist charm. This is the origin world. Chu Kuangren seemed to have understood something as he murmured. The origin world was a conceptual world. There was no fixed location, time, or form, but it existed in all things. Even a flower or a grain of sand could contain the existence of an origin realm, but entering an origin realm was incredibly difficult. Even immortals would not be able to enter at will. This moonlight essence can bring my consciousness into the origin world. Well, entering the origin world is only the first step to understanding the origin energy. Chu Kuangren looked at the scenery around him. It was formed by the thousands of origins in the universe. Through these scenes, one could understand the power of the origin energy. However, it was too mysterious that one could not understand it at all. For example, if Chu Kuangren stared at a volcano and wanted to understand the power of the origin energy within it, the volcano would turn into an ice mountain in the next instant. The myriad of scenes were dazzling. It was impossible for a person to settle down to understand the origin energy. At that moment, a white light appeared in front of Chu Kuangren. It was the moonlight essence. The moonlight essence then flew towards a certain direction. With a thought, Chu Kuangren followed closely behind the moonlight essence. Soon, his consciousness arrived at a mysterious place. It was an ocean, and a bright moon rose from the ocean. A bright moon shone above the ocean. As if it was startled by Chu Kuangren's arrival, this magnificent scene began to fluctuate as if it was going to disappear at any moment. However, at that moment, the moonlight essence landed on the bright moon in the sky and merged into it. The originally disintegrating moon stabilized once again. Meanwhile, the Daoist fluctuations within the moon lit up Chu Kuangren's eyes. Not daring to waste any time, he immediately began to understand the moon. Time passed and soon 3 days had passed. Chu Kuangren's consciousness stayed in the origin world for 3 days. Chu Kuangren's consciousness only returned when the lunar radiance essence had been fully consumed and the miraculous scene of a bright moon rising from the sea had dissipated. So this is the origin energy, Chu Kuangren murmured. He opened his palm and a wisp of chilling moonlight circulated. Unlike the other moonlights, this wisp of moonlight contained an extremely powerful energy fluctuation. This wasn't an ordinary moonlight. This was the origin energy of the moon. Although it was only a wisp, it was enough for Chu Kuangren to kill anyone who was weaker than the heavenly Tao Master. Not only that, but Chu Kuangren could also use this wisp of origin energy to further understand the mysteries of the origin energy of the moon. A piece of moonlight essence was enough for him to step into the origin domain. This gain was not much lesser than obtaining the lunar immortal physique. It's all thanks to my superior comprehension that I was able to use the lunar radiance essence to gain a sliver of the moon origin in the origin world and master it. If it were any other cultivator, being able to gain a sliver of the moon origin would be their limit. Chu Kuangren chuckled. After this closed-door meditation, he had completely absorbed the moonlight essence within his body. His cultivation level had skyrocketed from the Daoist Lord Realm to the late-stage Daoist Lord Realm. Coupled with the lunar immortal physique and the origin energy of the moon, his combat strength had risen to another level. In the purple-gold galaxy now, even the two sequence 1 existences are no match for me. No, even if all the immortal seeds in this galaxy were to come together, I have nothing to fear. Chu Kuangren sensed the power in his body and a look of disdain appeared in his eyes. Next, he just had to wait for the shattered immortal world to descend. I wonder what's going on in the outside world. Chu Kuangren's emperor's thoughts surged and spread across the entire Mystic Moon ancient city. In next to no time, he found out about everything that had happened during this period of time, and this naturally included Zi Tianhen's challenge. Purple Star's second sequence? I've just killed a fourth sequence, and now a second sequence has popped up. There's really no end to this. He shook his head, got up, and walked out of the room. The moment he appeared, the strong cultivators who had been observing in the dark sensed his presence, and their eyes lit up. Chu Kuangren has appeared. Quick, inform His Second Highness. He's finally willing to show himself. The news of Chu Kuangren coming out of his closed-door meditation spread like wildfire throughout the city, and Zi Tianhen was the first to receive the news. Chapter 865. Outside the ancient Mystic Moon City. On a planet, a young man with sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes was sitting with his legs crossed. His aura circulated as countless starlights surrounded his body. Suddenly, the young man opened his eyes. A ray of light flashed, and the countless starlight shattered. The young man then stood up and looked in the direction of the ancient Mystic Moon City. Poetic sword god Chu Kuangren, you're finally out. That person was the Purple Star Sequence cultivator who challenged Chu Kuangren, Zi Tianhen. He had received news of Chu Kuangren's return. Not only him. All the major forces had also received the news. Everyone looked in the direction of the city hall, wanting to see how Chu Kuangren would deal with it. It looks like Zi Tianhen is determined to win this battle. That's for sure. Chu Kuangren killed Zi Ying, so there's no way the Purple Star sect will let it go. This is Zi Tianhen's revenge. Let's see how strong Chu Kuangren is. Zi Tianhen has broken through to the great Daoist master level, so his strength is not something that Zi Ying can compare to. Not bad. The emperor's thoughts conversed in the void. The city hall suddenly became the center of attention. To be more precise, Chu Kuangren had become the center of attention. Brother Chu, what do you plan to do? The Mystic Moon Daoist master found Chu Kuangren and asked. What do I plan to do? Ignore it. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Ignore it? That's right. If I have to accept every challenge from any celestial seed, wouldn't I be too busy? Chu Kuangren said. He did not care about Zi Tianhen at all. He was too lazy to respond to his opponent's challenge. For the next few days, he stayed in the city hall, reading, sipping tea, drinking wine, and occasionally visiting the Mystic Moon City's scenic spots. In the eyes of others, he was living a carefree life. In fact, the only one who was relaxing was Chu Kuangren's heavenly soul. His mortal soul and earthly soul had been fighting in the spiritual illusion realm to derive the two great mysteries. However, no one else knew about that. A few days passed. Chu Kuangren did not challenge Zi Tianhen directly. All of a sudden, the entire ancient mystic moon city was in a heated discussion. Say, this Chu Kuangren is still so relaxed even after Zi Tianhen has challenged him. Does he really not care about his opponent? I don't think he's afraid, is he? Scared? Yeah, the one who challenged him is Purple Star's Sequence 2, the Great Path Master Zi Tianhen. He's afraid and doesn't dare to accept the challenge, but he's afraid of embarrassing himself by saying it out loud, so he's using this method to cover up his guilt. Some cultivators said with certainty. Meanwhile, the rumor that Chu Kuangren was guilty and did not dare to accept the challenge spread like wildfire in the Mystic Moon ancient city, causing his reputation to hit rock bottom. What poetic sword celestial! It's all fake. Bullsh *t. Heh, as an immortal seed, you don't even dare to accept the challenge when others have already come knocking on your door. You have the looks of an immortal seed, but you don't have the heart of an immortal seed. Not bad, disappointing. Chu Kuangren? What a waste of a name. Chu Kuangren was constantly bombarded with rumors and slanders. And on this day, Chu Kuangren was drinking in one of the largest brothels in the Mystic Moon ancient city, and in front of him was a group of beautiful dancers. This was the Wind Moon Workshop, Mystic Moon ancient city's largest brothel. It was also the biggest money-squandering den. However, Chu Kuangren now had a huge pile of soul marrow on him, so he did not care about such expenses at all. He was not an ascetic monk. Occasionally, there would be times to enjoy and relax. For example, right now, with wine in his hands, music in his ears, and beautiful women dancing in front of him, swaying their bodies, it was a feast for the eyes. Reward. Chu Kuangren smiled faintly. With a wave of his hand, he could produce tens of thousands of kilograms of soul marrow. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. Beside Chu Kuangren was a voluptuous woman with a face full of smiles. She was the owner of the Wind Moon Workshop. Her eyes lit up as she looked at Chu Kuangren, who was spending money like dirt. She had naturally heard of the rumors and slanders outside. However, to her, those things weren't important at all. In the Wind Moon Workshop, whoever had the soul marrow was the benefactor. They did not care about challenges or whether they were immortal seeds or not. Chu Kuangren, on the other hand, had a lot of soul marrow, was spending money like dirt, and his looks were extraordinary. It could be said that he was the perfect customer of the Wind Moon Workshop. Come, Master, let me toast you again. The owner of the Wind Moon Workshop lifted the wine pot and filled Chu Kuangren's cup. Owner, your boundless romance is the best in Mystic Moon City. Chu Kuangren looked at the wine cup in his hand and chuckled. Boundless Romance was the most expensive wine in the Wind Moon Workshop. Chu Kuangren fell in love with it the first time he drank it. He even asked Xiao AI to analyze it so that he could brew it himself when he had the time. It would be great to have a few sips of it in the future. Of course. There are two things that must be done in the Mystic Moon ancient city. The first is to ascend the full moon platform to see the full moon secret realm. The second is to come to my Wind Moon house and have a pot of boundless wind and moon. The owner of the Wind Moon Workshop said proudly. Then she smiled beside Chu Kuangren and said, by the way, Xiaoya and the others have a new dance today. Would you like to see it, Master? Oh, that's great. Chu Kuangren nodded. The owner of the Wind Moon Workshop clapped her hands. Suddenly, a group of new dancers walked out from the stage. The girls bowed to Chu Kuangren and then began to dance. The dancers held their swords, their steps light and agile. However, as the sword rays flashed, the sound of gold and jade echoed, and there was no lack of heroism. It's a good dance, but why isn't it fun? Chu Kuangren asked. This is Xiaoya and the others' new dance. They haven't found a suitable song yet, the owner of the Wind Moon Workshop said. There's a dance but no music. Let me add the final stroke, Chu Kuangren said with a smile. He raised his hand and grabbed a guqin not far away. Then he plucked the strings with all 10 fingers, and a beautiful guqin sound poured out. Beside him, the owner of the Wind Moon Workshop's eyes lit up. Master Chu knows how to play the guqin. The guqin sound was majestic and it matched the dancers' dance perfectly. One played the music and the other danced. The two complemented each other perfectly. This guqin sound? I'm afraid Master Chu knows more than that. The owner of the Wind Moon Workshop's eyes lit up. She looked at Chu Kuangren's profile and could not help but be stunned. The guqin sound echoed and spread out from the Wind Moon Workshop. Many people heard the guqin sound. This guqin sound? Who is it? Who's playing the guqin? From the Wind Moon Workshop. Is it their guqin master? This guqin sound is majestic and its artistic conception is profound. It seems that there's a musical expert in the Wind Moon Workshop. Come, let's go take a look. Many people were attracted by the guqin sound and headed to the Wind Moon Workshop. In the Wind Moon Workshop, the dancers danced to the music, their bodies swaying and their swords flashing. It was a dazzling and mesmerizing sight. The guqin sound grew louder, and the swords danced more and more wildly. Vaguely, it seemed as if thousands of soldiers and horses were fighting. The group of dancers seemed to have turned into generals on the battlefield, and the women were not inferior to the men. The cultivators who came to the Wind Moon Workshop could not help but be shocked when they saw this scene. When the guqin sound stopped, the dancers stopped as well. Their faces were red and sweaty, but their eyes were unprecedentedly bright. That dance just now was the most exciting and the pinnacle of their lives. It was as if they had reached some kind of realm where they were one with nature. As bright as shooting down the 9 suns, as majestic as a group of emperors soaring like dragons. Come like thunder, retract with fury, and leave like the clear light of the river. Chu Kuangren's voice rang out. He looked at the group of dancers with admiration in his eyes. He raised his glass and said, "Good dance. Let me toast everyone." Chapter 866. Like shooting down the 9 suns, like a group of emperors soaring like dragons. Come like thunder, retreat like fury, and leave like the clear light of the river. The mistress of Wind Moon House murmured. She looked at Chu Kuangren with infatuation in her eyes and clapped her hands. Someone, pour wine for the sisters and toast Master Chu. Then I'll toast first. Chu Kuangren smiled and downed the wine in his cup. Let's toast Master Chu. The leading dancer raised her cup to Chu Kuangren and downed it as well. The girls looked at Chu Kuangren with shining eyes. I didn't expect Master Chu to know how to play guqin, and your skills are so good. May I know the name of that song? The leading dancer, Xiaoya, asked. I haven't played for a long time, so I'm a little rusty. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Hearing his words, the musicians of Wind Moon House could not help but sweat. The song just now was played out of inspiration. It has no name, so I'll give it to Wind Moon House. Chu Kuangren smiled lightly. His musical Dao was so high that he had reached the chordless realm a few years ago. Occasionally, he would have a flash of inspiration and play a famous song. In other words, this song was made for us? The eyes of Xiaoye and the others lit up. Thank you, Master Chu. The dancers were overjoyed and beaming with joy. They looked at Chu Kuangren with admiration in their eyes. The musicians of the Fengyue house could only smile bitterly. She was able to create a world-shaking famous song out of her own feelings. Her zither skills were much better than theirs. I didn't expect Chu Kuangren to know how to play guqin, and his level is so high. What a surprise. Did you guys hear his poem just now? As expected of the poetic sword god. This is another masterpiece that will be handed down through the ages. Tiske, this is all there is to it. The cultivators who were attracted by the guqin music were amazed. They looked at Chu Kuangren, who was surrounded by the dancers, with envy and jealousy in their eyes. No matter how good his poem is, so what? He's just a coward who avoids battle. A cultivator snorted coldly, and some of the cultivators who were jealous of Chu Kuangren could not help but agree when they heard this. That's right. Avoiding the battle is just a coward. As an immortal seed, he doesn't think about improving himself and spends all his time wandering around in the brothels. Such a person wants to become an immortal? In your dreams. Zi Tianhen is many times stronger than him. All sorts of disparaging remarks about Chu Kuangren were heard. Of course, Chu Kuangren heard it too. However, before he could do anything, the manager's gaze had already turned cold, and then she flicked her sleeve, causing a strand of powerful imperial energy to surge out and blast those people who had belittled her flying. Don't even think about entering the Wind Moon House from now on. The owner of the Wind Moon House said domineeringly. She was not just an ordinary woman. To be able to run the largest money-squandering establishment in Mystic Moon City, it was impossible for her not to have some tricks up her sleeve. In truth, however, her cultivation base was so high that she had reached the Great Dao Lord level a long time ago. Moreover, she was a peak Great Dao Lord who was second only to the Heaven Dao Master. Young Master Chu, it's my fault for letting these rotten tongues in and spoiling your mood, the owner of the brothel apologized. It's all right. Chu Kuangren did not mind at all. Play the music. The owner of the Wind Moon House clapped her hands. Just when the music started again, a powerful aura suddenly descended from the sky and locked onto the entire Wind Moon House. Chu Kuangren, you're in such a good mood. An angry voice rang out from the void. A figure appeared out of thin air above the Wind Moon House. He was dressed in purple, and his brows were straight like swords. It was Zi Tianhen. Zi Tianhen's sudden appearance made everyone gasp. Chu Kuangren looked at him with a playful look in his eyes. An Emperor's Will projection is here. What's the matter? The figure in front of him was not Zi Tianhen himself, but an Emperor's Will projection. However, just a projection alone was already so powerful. It was enough to show how powerful Zi Tianhen was. Chu Kuangren, why did you ignore my challenge? Zi Tianhen said coldly. Heh, why should I? Chu Kuangren chuckled. Are you afraid? Don't overestimate yourself. Chu Kuangren, you've killed my purple star celestial seed. Even if you have the support of the mortal sky illusionary immortal, don't think that you can rest easy. I hereby issue you a challenge. This is a battle between celestial seeds. If you have the guts, accept it and fight me to your heart's content. Let's settle this score. Zi Tianhen said coldly to Chu Kuangren. An even more powerful aura emanated from his Emperor's Will projection. What a powerful aura. It's just an Emperor's Will projection, yet it's already so powerful. How powerful must his actual combat strength be? The second sequence is extraordinary. It's going to be hard for Chu Kuangren to win. The crowd secretly exclaimed. Some of them had paid attention to the battle between Zi Tianhen and the first sequence, Zi Shao, so they had a better understanding of their opponent's strength. In their opinion, it would be difficult for Chu Kuangren to win this battle. Due to Chu Kuangren's performance in the past few days, many people had already acknowledged that he was no match for Zi Tianhen. Fight me to my heart's content? Chu Kuangren could not help but shake his head and laugh. What are you laughing at? Zi Tianhen frowned, feeling insulted. What right do you have to fight me to my heart's content? Just because you've broken through to the Great Dao Master level? Just because you're the Purple Star second sequence? You're too weak. You're just too weak. You're not qualified to be my opponent. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. His insufferably arrogant words caused those who heard it to be moved. How arrogant? Does he know what he's saying? He's just trying to be mysterious. If he's really as strong as he says, why hasn't he accepted the challenge after so long? Some people were shocked while others sneered. In the sky, Zi Tianhen's Emperor's Will projection's expression was extremely gloomy. Do you think you're invincible just because you killed Ziying? The strength of a second sequence and a fourth sequence is different. I only used a little bit of strength to kill Ziying. Do you think that's my full strength? How can you see the heaven's might from looking at the sky from a well? A majestic and terrifying aura erupted from Chu Kuangren's body. The entire Mystic Moon ancient city trembled. Zi Tianhen's Emperor's Will projection was the first to bear the brunt of this terrifying aura. Its expression changed instantly, and then, the Emperor's Will projection violently fluctuated before it collapsed. On a distant planet, Zi Tianhen suddenly opened his eyes and stared in the direction of the Mystic Moon ancient city. This aura, how is this possible? In terms of aura alone, Chu Kuangren was already above him. But why did he release his aura there? Zi Tianhen was puzzled. His emperor's will surged as he tried to sense the mystic moon ancient city. Inside the romance workshop, an unparalleled aura continued to spread out. Chu Kuangren carried a pot of boundless romance and rose into the sky. The aura on his body was still rising. What is he trying to do? This aura? Terrifying. Everyone was speechless in their hearts. They felt that they might have guessed wrong. With this aura alone, there was no reason for Chu Kuangren to be afraid of Zi Tianhen. Inside the city lord's manor, the mystic moon Daoist master also sensed Chu Kuangren's aura and could not help but chuckle. He's finally going to make his move. Chapter 867. Mystic Moon Ancient City, Wind Moon Workshop. A boundless, incomparably terrifying domineering aura continued to spread. Every cultivator was shocked by this powerful aura. What a powerful aura! Who is it? This aura? Could it be? Rays of light flew out and surges of emperor's thoughts surged in the mystic moon ancient city. Soon, they locked onto the source of the powerful aura. The cultivators looked at the sky above Wind Moon Workshop and narrowed their eyes. It's really him. This aura is much stronger than it was a few months ago at the full moon platform. And it's not just a little bit stronger. His speed of improvement is just too fast. A Daoist lord. Everyone was in disbelief. After all, it was extremely difficult to improve after reaching the Daoist lord realm. Even a small breakthrough would require a lot of effort and resources. That would usually take thousands or even tens of thousands of years. However, Chu Kuangren had only spent a few short months. A few months ago, he had just stepped into the Daoist Lord realm at the full moon platform, and a few months later, he had soared to the Daoist Lord realm. Even if he was a top-notch fairy seed, such a speed of improvement was still unbelievable to the Daoist lords. What's he trying to do with such a powerful aura? Some of the Daoist lords were confused. However, they soon understood the whole story. Everyone's eyes lit up when they learned that Zi Tianhen was here to challenge them. Is he finally going to make a move? Looks like the duel is about to begin. Everyone could not help but look forward to it. One was a famous fairy seed, while the other was a Purple Star's second sequence cultivator. This battle would definitely be exciting. However, after waiting for a while, Chu Kuangren did not make any moves. All they saw was him hovering above Wind Moon Workshop with a wine flask in his hand. He did not look like he was going to fight Zi Tianhen. If he was not going to fight, why was he emitting such a terrifying aura? Was he trying to scare them? Found it. At that moment, Chu Kuangren suddenly spoke. He looked into the distant sky, past all obstacles, and locked onto Zi Tianhen, who was on a planet outside the mystic moon ancient city. On the planet, Zi Tianhen's pupils shrunk. What was he trying to do? Chu Kuangren, who was hovering above Romance Workshop, raised the bottle of boundless romance in his hand and gulped down half of it. The wine did not feel like much at first, but the aftereffects were strong. Chu Kuangren had already drunk a few bottles, and now that he had downed half a bottle, the accumulated alcohol in his body suddenly exploded. Chu Kuangren could have gotten rid of the alcohol in his body, but he did not. His face immediately turned red, and his eyes became misty. Everyone couldn't help but feel strange when they saw this. Drinking wine during a battle? What is Chu Kuangren trying to do? Everyone was puzzled. Chu Kuangren, who was in a slightly tipsy state, let out a drunken burp and recited loudly, "A poem and a sword to settle a business, living up to my reputation of 40 years of arrogance." As his words fell, the terrifying pressure on his body reached its peak. Then he took a deep breath. The wind and clouds around him surged, and endless spiritual energy was absorbed into his body. At that moment, all the powerful cultivators in the mystic moon ancient city felt their scalps go numb and their hearts palpitated as they stared at Chu Kuangren. The Daoist patterns on Chu Kuangren's body swirled as he opened his mouth and spat. In an instant, the spiritual qi, emperor qi, and wine qi all turned into a murderous sword qi that gushed out and blasted into the distance. Burp, You're only qualified to fight me if you can block this sword, Chu Kuangren said with a drunken burp. Upon hearing his words, everyone looked at the sword chi. They had already guessed what was going to happen. The sword chi was like a stream of light. In the blink of an eye, it flew out of the mystic moon ancient city and headed towards the vast starry sky. Its target was Zi Tianhen, who was thousands of miles away. The sword chi was so strong that it tore the starry sky apart. Zi Tianhen was locked on by the sword chi, and he suddenly felt a horrifying aura that he had never felt before. His pupils could not help but tremble violently. Immortal technique, galactic apocalypse. Zi Tianhen roared and pushed his cultivation to its limit. A burst of immortal technique fluctuations erupted, and the starlight in the sky disappeared. 100,000 miles of galactic river appeared in the sky. The galactic river and the sword chi collided. A loud explosion was heard. The galactic river exploded. However, the sword chi was like a hot knife through butter as it swept straight toward Zi Tianhen. How could this be? Zi Tianhen was extremely shocked. That move just now was already his full strength. However, it was easily destroyed by Chu Kuangren's sword chi. Just how terrifying was his opponent's strength? Am I going to die? Facing the sword chi, Zi Tianhen could not help but think in fear. The purple star-second sequence cultivator suddenly panicked. Then he forcefully suppressed the fear in his heart and roared, "Divine heavenly barrier, appear." He raised his hand and unleashed a ray of golden light. The golden light transformed into a golden barrier with countless Daoist patterns flowing on it. There were also strange beasts in the mountains, rivers, and the universe's starry sea. It was a top-notch defensive Daoist weapon. In fact, it was only half a step away from becoming a heavenly Daoist weapon. Boom! The sword chi blasted on the barrier. A terrifying explosion was heard, and the surrounding stars shook. The ground under Zi Tianhen's feet immediately caved in. Some of the sword chi that escaped swept across the surface of the stars, tearing huge cracks. Not long after, the entire planet was almost shattered. Zi Tianhen roared and continuously injected his emperor's chi into the barrier. However, under the impact of the sword chi, the barrier cracked inch by inch. Then, with a loud bang, it turned into countless light spots and exploded. Zi Tianhen was hit by the sword chi, and his bones and flesh were torn apart on the spot. The purple star-second sequence cultivator had fallen. After the sword chi killed Zi Tianhen, it smashed onto the planet. The shattered planet finally could not hold on any longer and exploded. A single sword strike killed a sequence cultivator and shattered a planet. All the strong cultivators who witnessed this scene were dumbfounded. Above the lunar romance workshop in the mystic moon ancient city, Chu Kuangren drank the rest of the boundless romance in one gulp and chuckled. Can't even withstand a single sword strike? Purple star second sequence? Useless. Purple star second sequence? Useless. All the strong cultivators who heard this were stunned for a long time. Writing a poem before killing someone, unleashing a peerless sword chi with a single breath. Chu Kuangren, a poetic sword sage with both sword and poetry. A poem and a sword to settle a business, living up to his reputation of 40 years. Oh my God, I just remembered that this person is only 40 years old. He's not even 60 years old yet. This is too terrifying. He's not even 40 years old yet he already has such earth-shattering strength. Give him a few more years and he might really become an immortal. The poetic sword sage lives up to his name. All the strong cultivators were shocked. Some of them were old monsters who had lived for countless years, but it was their first time seeing someone as talented as Chu Kuangren. Those who had been belittling Chu Kuangren for the past few days were also dumbfounded. A single sword strike from thousands of miles away, killing someone and destroying a planet. This kind of ability was too terrifying. What kind of monster were they belittling? No wonder he's not willing to accept challenges these days. It's not that he's afraid, it's because he's disdainful. Zi Tianhen is not qualified to be his opponent. The gap between them is too big. On this day, Chu Kuangren composed a poem, drew his sword, and killed another purple star sequence cultivator. The poetic sword sage's name had shaken the entire galaxy. Chapter 868. Mystic Moon Ancient City, Romance Workshop. Chu Kuangren returned to the workshop. Workshop owner, please refill my wine. Yes, master. At this time, the ladies in Romance Workshop looked at Chu Kuangren with excitement in their eyes. The strong cultivators outside the workshop, on the other hand, were secretly shocked. After that sword, Chu Kuangren's name was known throughout the Purple Gold Galaxy. The major forces could not sit still anymore. Such a top-notch fairy seed was too amazing. After Chu Kuangren returned to the city hall, several forces came to him within a few days, offering him an olive branch. However, he declined all of them. This strand of moon origin energy is indeed extraordinary. Inside the city hall, a white light floated in Chu Kuangren's palm. That was the moon origin energy. When he had killed Zitianhen, he had used this source energy. That was why he had been able to kill Zitianhen so easily with a single strike. He was very satisfied with the power of this origin energy. This is just a wisp of origin energy. It's hard to imagine how powerful an immortal who has mastered a complete origin energy would be. A complete origin energy was also known as immortal base. It was a power that only immortals could use. I will master that power sooner or later. Chu Kuangren murmured. He retracted the origin energy back into his body. Then, as usual, he started the lottery. In the past few months, he had won many prizes, but most of them were gold and starlight grade items, which were not very useful to him. He had won a few legendary Dao weapons, but now that he had the Descendant Self-Sect and the Heavenly Dao weapon for defense, he did not need other Dao weapons at all. Hence, he exchanged these Dao weapons for spiritual marrows at the 3000 firm. Spiritual marrows were considered a hard currency that could be used everywhere. They could also be used during daily cultivation. Now, Elder Li of the 3000 firm treated him like he was the god of fortune. He was very enthusiastic and even gave him a 3000 firm VIP card. It was said that only a few customers had such treatment. Congratulations, host, you have won the God tier prize, Divine Wine of Enlightenment. Divine Wine of Enlightenment? Wine? Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up. He had won so many prizes, but this was the first time he had won a wine. And it was a God tier prize. Chu Kuangren took out the prize, and a black wine jar appeared in front of him. It was covered with a red cloth. Just one jar. Chu Kuangren removed the seal on the wine. Suddenly, a dusty aroma of wine burst out. The fragrance of wine permeated the air, enveloping a radius of several hundred miles. Any cultivator who smelled it, even a monarch, would feel dizzy and drunk. Damn, where is this wine aroma coming from? This is too terrifying. What kind of wine is this? Just the fragrance alone is enough to make people so drunk. Even the strongest drunken dragon roar in the Purple Gold Galaxy can't reach this level. This is too exaggerated. With the City Lord's mansion as the center, the aroma of wine spread for hundreds of miles. Countless cultivators and commoners were drunk and collapsed on the ground. Emperors with stronger cultivations were already wobbling as they walked. In the city hall's manor, some of the maids and servants were so drunk that their faces were flushed red. They were snoring loudly on the ground. In the courtyard, Chu Kuangren was the one who unsealed the wine. The aroma was the most intense, and he felt dizzy. Only after circulating his emperor's qi did he return to normal. TSKSK, a god-tier wine is indeed extraordinary. Chu Kuangren was amazed. When the aroma of wine had almost dissipated, he then carefully observed the spirit of enlightenment. The wine was as clear as spring water. After the initial aroma of wine had dissipated, only a faint aroma was left. He opened his mouth and inhaled. A mouthful of wine went down his throat and into his stomach. Then, a strong alcohol aroma erupted and rushed to his head. Amidst the explosion, Chu Kuangren's senses seemed to be magnified to the extreme. Everything in the world looked different in his eyes. The spirit of enlightenment. One drop could make one enlightened, and 1 cup could help one attain Tao. It was an extremely rare wine that could help one achieve enlightenment. This is a great wine. Chu Kuangren looked at the spirit of enlightenment as if he had found a treasure. If I am able to finish this entire jar, I might be able to take a huge step forward in my progress in deducing the 2 great mysteries. Unfortunately, there's only 1 jar. Chu Kuangren suddenly thought of something, and his eyes lit up. Xiao AI, analyze the ingredients of this spirit of enlightenment for me. Yes. Just as Xiao AI was analyzing, the Divine Moon Daoist master walked in. He looked at the spirit of enlightenment in Chu Kuangren's hand and could not help but gulp. Brother Chu, what kind of wine is this? Chu Kuangren smiled. The spirit of enlightenment. Brother, would you like a cup? Then it would be impolite of me to decline. The Divine Moon Daoist master laughed. Chu Kuangren took out 2 cups and drank with the Divine Moon Daoist master. There were only a few cups. The Divine Moon Daoist master lay on the table with his face flushed red. The Sky Daoist master was drunk after drinking a few cups of spirit of enlightenment. Chu Kuangren, who was beside him, was also flushed and his eyes were blurred. This wine is King strong, Chu Kuangren muttered. If not for his strong physical body, he would not be in a better state than the Divine Moon Daoist master. He sealed the spirit of enlightenment and threw it into his yin and yang ring. A thud was heard. Chu Kuangren also collapsed on the table. About an hour later, Chu Kuangren slowly woke up. He stretched and felt that his understanding of the Tao had improved. Xiao AI, how's the analysis? Analysis complete. That's great. Doesn't that mean I can mass-produce this spirit of enlightenment in the future? Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up and he said happily. Among the ingredients for the spirit of enlightenment, there are a few rare spirit fruits. It's not very practical to mass-produce them with the purple gold galaxy's current resources, Xiao AI said. It's fine. It's enough for me to drink for now. Chu Kuangren laughed. Not long after, the Divine Moon Daoist master woke up. This wine is really strong. The Divine Moon Daoist master shook his head. Then, as if he sensed something, his eyes narrowed. My understanding of the Tao has improved. Although it was not much. Still, it was shocking enough. After all, he was the Sky Daoist master. His understanding of the Tao had long stood at the peak of this galaxy. It was very difficult for him to improve. Sometimes, he would only improve a little after tens of thousands of years. But now, a few cups of wine was equivalent to tens of thousands of years of cultivation. *CK. What kind of wine was this? Was it brewed by the liquor Immortal? Brother Chu, what's going on with this wine? The Divine Moon Daoist master was puzzled. It's a pot of wine that I obtained by chance. Chu Kuangren laughed. The next day, Chu Kuangren arrived at the 3000 firm with the deciphered recipe of the spirit of enlightenment in hand. Along the way, many people were talking about the wine fragrance that came out of nowhere yesterday, and their faces were filled with nostalgia. That wine must have been brewed by an immortal. I was drunk the moment I smelled it. When I woke up, all the questions I couldn't figure out before were solved. Besides the liquor Immortal, who else could do this? A cultivator said with a beaming expression. Many people beside him also had a look of yearning. Chu Kuangren smiled and did not explain. When he arrived at the 3000 firm, he found Elder Li and asked him to help him find the ingredients to brew the spirit of enlightenment. However, these ingredients were extremely rare. Even the 3000 firm was not confident that they could get a lot of them. Chu Kuangren said that he would get as many as he could. He did not lack the spiritual marrow. Chapter 869. Purple Gold Galaxy. Inside a gigantic purple star. Inside a palace. A terrifying aura erupted with anger. The cultivators of Purple Star could not help but shiver as they looked in the direction of the palace. It's been a long time since the Hall Master was this angry. Yeah, it must be because of that matter. Yes, it must be. The sequence has been killed one after another. It would be strange if the Hall Master was not angry. It looks like the Hall Master can't sit still anymore. Ziwei Temple, the strongest orthodoxy of Purple Star. It was also the ruler of Purple Star, the core of the entire civilization. At that moment, a ray of purple light flew out of the palace and exploded in the air. Everyone could not help but be amazed at the sight. The Hall Master has summoned the 4 great protectors. Whoosh, whoosh, several rays of light flew towards the palace. Inside the palace, a golden-robed middle-aged man sat at the top. His purple eyes were filled with anger. This person was the Ziwei Temple Master. At the same time, he was also the Purple Star Lord. Sequence has been killed one after another. What do you guys think? The Ziwei Temple Master said coldly. Below him, the 4 great protectors of Purple Star looked at each other. Poetic sword fairy Chu Kuangren must not be allowed to live. If he's allowed to live, the world will forever remember that the Purple Star Celestial Seed was killed by this person. Besides, this person has already formed a feud with the Purple Star Celestial Seed. Before he fully matures, I suggest that we kill him. A white-robed middle-aged man said. There were 4 protectors in Purple Star, namely Heaven, Earth, Black, and Yellow. This white-robed middle-aged man was the strongest Heaven protector with a cultivation level of a Sky Lord. I concur. A black-robed elder said. He was the 2nd-ranked Earth protector. I don't care. If you want to kill me, then kill me. The youthful mysterious protector spoke in a carefree manner. Chu Kuangren must not be allowed to live. The last yellow protector also agreed with the suggestion to kill Chu Kuangren. In fact, the fact that the Ziwei Temple Master had summoned the 4 of them meant that his patience with Chu Kuangren had reached its limit. Not only must we kill Chu Kuangren, we must kill him as a warning. The firmament star civilization behind him must be destroyed as well. Let the world understand that those who offend the Purple Star will not have a good ending. Palace Master Ziwei said coldly. The firmament star is just an ordinary high-level cultivation civilization. They don't even have many Dao Lords, so there's nothing to be afraid of. Leave the destruction of such a civilization to me. The Yellow Guardian sneered. There was a hint of violence in his eyes. 2 sharp canine teeth protruded from the corner of his mouth, and a faint demonic aura emanated from his body. He was a fierce beast of Purple Star and possessed a cruel nature. When Purple Star expanded outwards, it had destroyed many civilizations, most of which were his doing. I'll leave the task of destroying Firmament Star to you, Enforcer Huang. However, Chu Kuangren must not be left alive after we destroy Firmament Star. Otherwise, once he grows stronger, the consequences will be unimaginable. Hence, this operation to kill Chu Kuangren must be foolproof. Chu Kuangren's biggest backer is the Heavenly Dust Immortal. There's no guarantee that he won't participate in this operation to kill Chu Kuangren. I'll ask the Forefather to hold him back. As for the Mystic Moon Dao Lord and the others who are on good terms with the Heavenly Dust Immortal, I'll leave them to you, Palace Master Ziwei said. Even the Purple Star Forefather, a Heavenly Dust Immortal, was going to be involved. This showed how determined Palace Master Ziwei was to kill Chu Kuangren. All right. The few of them nodded. Then I'll head to the Firmament Star first. Protector Huang said impatiently. Wait. Palace Master Ziwei stopped him. Go to the Firmament Star and investigate Ziwuheng. Previously, the Blood Origin planet cooperated with us and asked us to help them occupy the Firmament Star. Ziwuheng was in charge of this, but we lost contact with him some time ago. I suspect that something bad has happened to him. There's something in that place that could threaten the Immortal Seed? Enforcer Huang was a little surprised. Didn't Chu Kuangren come from the Firmament Star? I think he must have something to do with what happened to Ziwuheng. Enforcer Xian smirked. That's possible. If that's the case, 3 of our Purple Star Sequence cultivators have died in the hands of this person? Enforcer Tian said with a grim expression. Every immortal seed was extremely precious. However, the death of even one of them would normally make their hearts ache. Yet now, 3 of them had died. And it was all done by the same person. This made their killing intent toward Chu Kuangren even more intense. Even with the Heavenly Dust Immortal as a deterrent, they could not hold it in anymore. Count me in for the expedition against Chu Kuangren. At that moment, an indifferent voice rang out. A young man slowly walked into the hall. He was dressed in a luxurious purple robe and had waist-length black hair. Just like Palace Master Ziwei, he had a pair of purple eyes. However, his purple was a little lighter. Your First Highness. Your Highness, are you coming with us? The young man was the first sequence cultivator of Palace Master Ziwei, Zishao. He was also the second most powerful immortal seed in the Purple Gold Galaxy. It was said that his cultivation level had reached the Daoist Lord realm a few hundred years ago. His current cultivation level was even more unfathomable. Let's go together. I want to meet this poetic sword sage. Zishao nodded slightly. Palace Master Ziwei pondered for a while before she said, "All right, but Chu Kuangren's strength is extraordinary. Be careful. In the entire Purple Gold Galaxy, no one below the Heavenly Dao Master can hurt me." Zishao stood with his hands behind his back and said proudly, "Ancient Mystic Moon City." After Chu Kuangren had asked the 3,000 firm to help him gather the ingredients to brew the God of Enlightenment wine, he returned to the city hall. He then hugged the God of Enlightenment wine that he had won from the gacha roulette and stayed in his room all day long. When the servants of the city hall passed by that room, they said that they smelled the intoxicating scent of wine. Once they got close to it, they immediately passed out. When he woke up, his cultivation level had greatly increased. This made many people want to give it a try. Later, under the strict orders of the Mystic Moon Daoist Lord, everyone avoided Chu Kuangren's room and did not disturb him. Meanwhile, after Chu Kuangren had set up countless restrictions around his room, he drank half of the God of Enlightenment wine in one go. The strong smell of wine made him lie on the bed as if he was drunk and unconscious. A few cups of this God of Enlightenment wine was enough to make a Heavenly Dao Master drunk. Not to mention that he had drunk half of it. Chu Kuangren felt that his soul was so drunk that it felt like it would leave his physical body and travel the universe in the next moment. He barely managed to keep his consciousness and activated the universal cauldron physique to refine the wine qi in the God of Enlightenment wine, entering an unprecedented state of enlightenment. This time, I must derive a higher level of the technique of invincibility, Chu Kuangren thought to himself. With the help of the three souls and the God of Enlightenment wine, Chu Kuangren's confidence was at an all-time high. Just when he was drunk and unconscious, a crisis was approaching the Mystic Moon Ancient City and Firmament Star. Firmament Star. A ray of light suddenly arrived. Seeing the blue and white star in front of him, Guardian Huang had a cruel look in his eyes. What a beautiful star! If it were to explode in the universe, it would be a beautiful sight. But there's no hurry. Wait for me to go down and have a good time. Then, I'll blow you up and turn you into a firework in the universe. Guardian Huang laughed out loud and then turned into a ray of light. He quickly flew towards Firmament Star, and a violent surge of demonic qi erupted from his body. Firmament Star, your doomsday is here. Chapter 870. Inside Firmament Star. Firmament Kingdom, Black Heaven City, Imperial Palace. Lan Yu, Gu Linglong, the Dharma Daoist Master, and the others seemed to have sensed something as they looked towards the outer realm with shock in their eyes. This aura, is it demonic qi? It's a demonic qi that has never been seen before. And this demonic qi doesn't seem to be friendly. The Dharma Daoist Master and the others gulped. They felt that the demonic qi was so strong that they had never seen it before. Even the Bright Moon Daoist Master's demonic qi, the strongest Daoist master in Firmament Star, was nothing in front of this demonic qi. It's an enemy, the Sword Dao Lord said with a solemn expression. They could sense that the demonic aura was surging with a violent intent. Since when did Firmament Star offend such a being? D****, we've just dealt with the Blood Tribe, and now another terrifying being has appeared. The Dharma Daoist Master gritted his teeth. Don't worry, leave it to me. A calm voice came from the depths of the Imperial Palace. Everyone looked towards the source of the voice. A wooden puppet slowly walked out from the imperial palace. That was left behind by the king before he left. Is that a battle puppet? Everyone was stunned as they saw countless Daoist patterns on the battle puppet's body before it transformed into Chu Kuangren's appearance. King. It's the king. Chu Kuangren looked towards the outer realm with a cold look in his eyes. He then said, "You guys stay here, I'll be back soon." As soon as he finished speaking, he flew into the sky. Meanwhile, a golden ray of light shot out from the imperial palace. Amidst the flowing light was a large golden seal. It was the human ruler's seal. Aside from leaving the heavenly Dao battle puppet on Firmament Star, Chu Kuangren had also left the human ruler's seal behind to increase the battle puppet's offensive capabilities. In the outer realm, majestic demonic chi surged towards Firmament Star. Suddenly, Guardian Huang let out a soft gasp of surprise. He saw a faint golden Daoist pattern circulating outside the atmosphere of Firmament Star. Is this a formation? A formation that covers the entire star. I can't believe a tiny firmament star could come up with such a formation. Do you think this formation can stop me? Dream on. Guardian Huang sneered. Demonic chi erupted as he punched out with his palm. The dark red demonic chi transformed into the image of a gigantic blood-red wolf that tore through the air. The power of this strike was extremely terrifying, enough to shatter stars. Protector Huang believed that the great formation of morning parting heaven would not be able to withstand the attack. As expected, the entire formation trembled under the pressure of the blood wolf. Prepare to be crushed. Guardian Huang sneered. However, at that moment, within the heavenly formation of parting hatred, a golden flowing light suddenly flew out and turned into a large seal that was comparable to a star. With a loud bang, the blood wolf smashed into the seal. The great seal trembled, and the blood wolf directly dispersed. That's a fortune treasure. Guardian Huang was slightly shocked. The treasure of providence was a treasure condensed from the providence of a civilization or race. The stronger the civilization or race, the more powerful the treasure. In the universe, it was an extremely rare treasure. There's a formation that covers the entire planet, and now there's a treasure of fortune. This firmament star really surprises me. Guardian Huang grinned. He stared at the golden seal that kept shrinking until it was the size of a palm. It then floated above the head of a white-robed young man. Chu Kuangren? Guardian Huang's pupils shrunk. He had seen Chu Kuangren's image before, and he looked exactly like this white-robed young man. No, Chu Kuangren should still be in the Mystic Moon ancient city. Why would he appear here? And your aura? There's no sign of life. This strange aura is a battle puppet. Your consciousness is attached to this battle puppet. As the heavenly lord of the Purple Star sect, Guardian Huang was knowledgeable enough to quickly determine that Chu Kuangren was only a battle puppet. But this powerful aura belongs to the heavenly lord. How can there be such a powerful battle puppet in the firmament star? Guardian Huang was a little shocked. There were only a few heavenly lord-level battle puppets in the entire Purple Star sect. How could the firmament star have such technology? You've been talking to yourself since just now. Are you an idiot? Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Guardian Huang's face darkened. How dare a mere battle puppet be so arrogant? Today, I'll destroy you and the entire firmament star. A majestic demonic chi erupted from his body, and the surrounding starlight gathered around him. Then, a gigantic blood-colored wolf lunged at him. However, this time, with the help of the starlight, its power was even stronger. Oh, this cultivation technique. You're from the Purple Star sect. Chu Kuangren lifted his arm, and the battle puppet's energy erupted into the human ruler's seal, shattering the blood-colored wolf. Then he clenched his fist and unleashed a punch. The profound art of invincibility was unleashed. Heaven and earth reversal. The fist energy swept across the sky and blasted towards Guardian Huang. Break it! Guardian Huang unleashed a claw attack. When the two energies collided, the void exploded. Guardian Huang's clothes were torn apart by that attack, and he was forced to retreat. His eyes narrowed. This battle puppet is so strong. He let out a long roar, bent his body, and began to expand. Finally, he turned into a giant blood-colored wolf that was hundreds of meters tall. His majestic demonic chi wreaked havoc in the starry sky. "Oh, you've transformed into your true form," Chu Kuangren said. "Roar!" With a long roar, the blood-colored wolf opened its mouth, and the surrounding starlight surged towards it. A large amount of starlight energy was compressed and condensed into a gigantic ball of light. The ball of light shot out, leaving a trail of light in the starry sky. Like a meteor, it headed straight for Chu Kuangren. Invincible technique, Heaven's Vortex. Chu Kuangren raised his hand and activated the battle puppet's energy. Daoist patterns intertwined in his palm, forming a vortex that blocked the ball of light. The energy within the ball of light was continuously disintegrated and dissipated. Then, from the vortex, a ray of starlight shot out and smashed towards the blood-colored wolf. "He reflected my energy back at me?" The blood-colored wolf's expression changed slightly. He smashed the blood-colored ball of light with his claw. Your battle puppet strength is at most on par with mine. If I destroy it with all my might, do you think you can protect Firmament Star?" The blood-colored wolf sneered. He pushed his demonic chi to its limit, and a large amount of starlight gathered around him, forming balls of light. Although it was not as powerful as the previous attack, there were more of them. More importantly, the blood-colored wolf's target was not Chu Kuangren. It was the Firmament Star that was behind him. No matter how strong Chu Kuangren was, it was impossible for him to block that many attacks. However, he did not panic. "I might not be able to do it alone." "But who said I don't have help?" Chu Kuangren said calmly. Then, a large amount of golden light gathered around him, forming a small golden man that was half the height of a human. The blood-colored wolf's eyes narrowed when he saw that small golden man. "This is the Heavenly Dao. The Firmament Star's Heavenly Dao. You can activate the Heavenly Dao. You're the Firmament Star Lord." A Star Lord was a cultivator who was recognized by the Heavenly Dao of a star and could use the Heavenly Dao's energy. Not every living star could give birth to a Star Lord. Only a few lucky ones could be recognized by the Heavenly Dao. Chapter 871. In the outer space of Firmament Star, the battle puppet Chu Kuangren was battling against the Purple Star Protector. The powerful shockwaves from their battle shook half the sky. Just as Enforcer Huang was about to charge past Chu Kuangren and attack Firmament Star, the Firmament Star's Heavenly Dao suddenly appeared. "Fuse," Chu Kuangren said indifferently. The Heavenly Dao's little golden man then merged into Chu Kuangren's body, causing the battle puppet's strength to skyrocket once again. A terrifying aura shook the starry sky, causing the blood-red wolf's pupils to shrink. "Heavenly Dao blessing," the crimson giant wolf said solemnly. Then, it roared and shot out the countless light balls behind it. Countless light orbs rained down on Firmament Star like a meteor shower. Even if the Firmament Star was protected by the hateful parting formation, it would not be able to withstand all the attacks. At the very least, a few states would be destroyed. However, Chu Kuangren would never let that happen. Human Ruler Seal. With a soft grunt, Chu Kuangren pushed the battle puppet's power to its limit and continuously channeled it into the Human Ruler Seal. The Man Ruler Seal blossomed with a resplendent brilliance. Millions of rays of golden light surged out, covering the sky and covering the earth, forming a huge light screen in front of him. Countless meteors were blocked by the light barrier. "How could this be?" The Crimson Wolf cried out in alarm. The power unleashed by Chu Kuangren's fusion with the Heavenly Dao had far surpassed him, and it was not just by a little bit. "No, I can't stay here anymore." Although the Crimson Wolf was violent, it did not want to seek its own death. Its bestial instincts told it that if it continued to stay here, it would die. "Do you really think that you can come and go as you please in Firmament Star?" Chu Kuangren could tell what the Crimson Giant Wolf was thinking and sneered. The Man Ruler's seal flew out and grew with the wind. Very quickly, it expanded to the size of a small planet, emitting a monstrous pressure. A powerful sealing force erupted, sealing off the surrounding starry sky, leaving the Crimson Wolf with nowhere to run. "No, I can't die here." The blood-red wolf howled crazily. The demonic aura attacked the sealing power of the seal of the human ruler. However, it was useless. His gigantic body seemed extremely tiny in front of the human ruler's seal. There was a loud bang. The man-ruler's seal smashed onto the giant blood-colored wolf. The giant wolf's body exploded into a cloud of blood mist. A lord of the Tao of Heaven had fallen. The man-ruler's seal quickly shrunk to the size of a palm. Chu Kuangren held the human ruler's seal in his hand and looked into the distance. "The Purple Star tribe has begun their operation. My real body, you must be careful." What he had left on the puppet of the heavenly law was only a wisp of his will. However, not too long ago, he lost contact with Chu Kuangren's consciousness when he went into closed-door meditation after drinking the divine enlightenment wine. Let's go back first. Chu Kuangren turned around and returned to Firmament Star, ancient mystic moon city. In the city lord's mansion, the divine moon Tao Lord suddenly opened his eyes. He looked towards the outer realm with a solemn expression. What a powerful aura! There are so many people approaching Xianxia ancient city. His monarch will surged as he extended his perception toward the starry sky. In the starry sky, tens of thousands of warships were heading towards Mystic Moon ancient city. Through the symbols on these warships, the Divine Moon Sect Master recognized that these warships were all from Purple Star. Purple Star suddenly launched a large-scale attack. Are they targeting fellow Daoist Chu? No, I must inform the void immortal mortal heaven. He alone could not stop the Purple Star army. Not only the Divine Moon Tao Lord, but most of the strong cultivators in the Mystic Moon ancient city had also sensed the powerful aura of the incoming cultivators. Purple Star's sudden invasion must be because of poetic sword sage Chu Kuangren. Mystic Moon ancient city is in danger. Sigh, the Mystic Moon ancient city has a jinx. How is the Divine Moon Tao Lord going to deal with this? Everyone in the Mystic Moon ancient city was panicking. At that moment, outside the ancient city, an indifferent voice came from afar. Those who have nothing to do with Chu Kuangren, leave the Mystic Moon ancient city immediately. That was the voice of the Purple Star Protector. Everyone was stunned when they heard that voice. Then, the crowd burst into an uproar. They quickly packed their belongings and left the Mystic Moon ancient city in streams of light. In less than half a day, the once bustling ancient city became deserted. The streets were empty, and not a single person could be seen. In the city lord's mansion, the Divine Moon Tao Lord snorted. Then, with a flick of his sleeves, a powerful surge of energy emerged and spread in all directions. Suddenly, Daoist patterns intertwined around the ancient city, and 4 light pillars rose into the sky. In the blink of an eye, they formed a giant light barrier that covered the entire city. That was the ancient city's defensive formation. Purple Star, if you want to play, then I'll play with you till the end. The Divine Moon Tao Lord's eyes were cold. In the starry sky, tens of thousands of battleships. On one of the giant battleships, a purple-robed young man looked at the golden light barrier in front of him with a playful look in his eyes. Oh, a defensive formation? But how long can it hold off my Purple Star army? Beside him, the white-robed middle-aged Sky Protector walked up. Your Highness, it's ready. Shall we attack? There's no rush. The purple firmament said calmly. He flew to the sky above the Mystic Moon ancient city and looked down at the glorious city below. He channeled his Emperor's Qi, and his voice spread throughout the entire ancient city. The Purple Star Army is here to kill Chu Kuangren. If the Divine Moon Tao Lord hands this person over, the Purple Star Army will let you go. In the Mystic Moon ancient city, there were still some aristocratic families and orthodoxies that had not left. Their base was here, so it was not easy for them to leave. When they heard the purple firmament's words, they were tempted. It's not worth it to sacrifice the entire ancient city just for Chu Kuangren. Ask the city lord to hand him over. A white-haired old man said coldly. He was the Wang family's forefather. one of the few Sky Lords in the Mystic Moon ancient city. Upon hearing his words, the strong cultivators in the Mystic Moon ancient city agreed and rushed to the City Lord's residence. City Lord, please hand Chu Kuangren over. That's right. The Purple Star Army is coming at us fiercely. It's not something we can fight against. Only by handing Chu Kuangren over can we protect the Mystic Moon ancient city. That's right. City Lord, please look at the bigger picture. The Divine Moon Daolord's expression did not change in the face of the crowd's persuasion. If it were a few months ago, he might have been persuaded to give up Chu Kuangren just because of the Heavenly Dust Immortal's favor. However, things were different now. Aside from the Heavenly Dust Immortal's relationship, Chu Kuangren had also helped his daughter awaken her immortal physique. He had yet to repay that great favor. There's no need to say anything more. Brother Chu is under my protection. If any of you wish to leave, please do so. The Divine Moon Daolord said. The Wang family's forefathers snorted coldly. You're the City Lord of a city, yet you don't know how to appreciate the bigger picture. The Wang family will not accompany you to your death. Farewell. Because of Chu Kuangren, the Wang family and the Divine Moon Daolord had a grudge against each other. Now that the Purple Star Army was attacking, it was impossible for the Wang family to fight for the Mystic Moon ancient city. The Wang family's forefather turned around and left. Looking at the mighty Purple Star Army in outer space, a strange look appeared in his eyes. Perhaps I can use this opportunity to befriend the Purple Star Army. Aside from the Wang family's forefather, the other orthodoxies looked at each other. In the end, only a few of them were willing to stay. Chapter 872. Dust Sky Star. Dust Sky Immortal received a message from Pathmaster Xinyu. His eyes flashed coldly. Oh, Purple Star has made a move and it's an army. Heh, what a big move. Looks like it's time for me to exercise my old bones. He slowly stood up. A strong hollow immortal energy spread out. But in the next instant, an equally strong hollow immortal energy came from the sky. A coffin made entirely of purple gold flew down from the sky and smashed into the purple star like a meteor. Hollow immortal energy spread out from the coffin. Dust Sky Immortal's pupils constricted. This coffin? I didn't expect you to come. Dust Sky Immortal snorted coldly. The coffin opened. A skinny old man wearing a purple luxurious robe walked out. His turbid eyes shone brightly as he looked at Dust Sky Immortal and said calmly, Friend Shinton, long time no see. You still look so healthy. I really envy you. Virtual Immortal Chen Tian said coldly, Enough with the pleasantries. You, a guy with half your body in the grave, suddenly appeared. What's the matter? I had a sudden impulse and wanted to discuss the Tao with you. Heh, discuss the Tao? You want to stop me from going to Xianxia ancient city. Dust Sky Immortal sneered. Is that celestial seed worth you working so hard? The skinny old man asked. In this world, it doesn't matter if it's worth it or not. It's just whether I want to or not. A long sword with green light flowing around it appeared in Dust Sky Immortal's hand. He raised his hand and a majestic sword energy slashed out. The skinny old man moved his mind. The coffin automatically blocked in front of him. With a bang, the entire Dust Sky Star shook. Huge cracks spread out with the two of them at the center. Please advise me. Hollow immortal energy flowed around the skinny old man's body. A battle between hollow immortals erupted. Xianxia City. The Tao Master of the Divine Moon sect looked at the few Tao Masters who were willing to stay with him with gratitude in his eyes. Thank you all. City Lord, there is no need to thank me. Back then, when I was being chased by my enemies, it was you who saved me. Furthermore, you allowed me to establish a sect in Mystic Moon Ancient City. I have yet to repay this kindness. The burly man in yellow robes laughed heartily. Beside him, a cold lady glanced at the Daoist Lord and said, I'm staying here for the sake of my lunar palace and my disciples, not for you or Chu Kuangren. Don't overthink it. This woman was the master of the Moon Palace, a heavenly Tao Lord. The Daoist master of the Divine Moon sect had known the other party for many years and knew that the other party was a sharp-tongued but soft-hearted person. Thus, he did not say much and silently kept his gratitude in his heart. The others were also people who had a good relationship with the divine moon Tao Lord. In the sky above mystic moon ancient city, Zixiao had a panoramic view of what was happening in the city and said indifferently, "It seems that you have made your decision." He gently raised his hand. Behind him, countless warships aimed their cannons at the ancient city. The light of the Tao pattern circulated. Streams of energy were gathering. "Unfortunately, you have chosen a dead end." Zixiao waved his hand. Instantly, beams of light shot out from the cannons of the warships. Boom, boom, boom. The energy beams were like a torrential downpour, continuously landing on the mystic moon ancient city's golden light barrier, causing a series of explosions. The entire golden barrier rippled. The great battle had begun. At that moment, the Wang family's forefather came before purple firmament. He cupped his fists and said, "My Wang family has a grudge against Chu Kuangren. I'm willing to do my part to fight against Chu Kuangren and lead the way for your highness." Upon seeing that, Zixiao nodded. It seems that not everyone in the mystic moon ancient city is stupid. There are still some smart ones. Just like that, the Wang family's forefather joined the Purple Star Army in the battle against the mystic moon ancient city. The mystic moon ancient city's defensive formation was very strong, but the Purple Star Army was no joke either. Under the continuous bombardment of tens of thousands of energy beams, the great formation was already on the verge of collapse. "Prepare for battle," the divine moon Tao Lord said coldly. With a sword in his hand, a majestic sword pressure suddenly erupted. At that moment, not far away, a streak of sword light flew over and actually resonated with his sword pressure. Who is this? The divine moon Tao Lord was puzzled. He did not sense any hostility from that sword ray. Could it be that this person was not from the Purple Star Army? I'm Yang Xiao. I'm here to help the mystic moon ancient city." A heroic voice came from within the sword ray. A handsome middle-aged man with graying temples came before the Purple Star Army, raised his sword, and a majestic sword ray whistled out. Dozens of warships were destroyed by that sword ray. "Yang Xiao?" "Yang Xiao from the Royal Heaven Sword Sect." The Purple Star Sky Guardian said coldly, "Even the Royal Heaven Sword Sect wants to interfere in this matter. Aren't you afraid of the Purple Star's revenge?" "I once owed the ethereal immortal mortal heaven a favor, and I'm only here today to return the favor. My actions have nothing to do with the Royal Heaven Sword Sect. If you want revenge, just come after me." Yang Xiao laughed. His white robe fluttered in the wind, and his sword pressure swept out like a tidal wave. Below, the divine moon Tao Lord was delighted to see that. Yang Xiao was a heaven Tao Lord. With his help, the mystic moon ancient city had a much higher chance of winning. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At that moment, in outer space, rays of light flew over. Each ray of light contained a different Daoist fluctuation, but they all emitted an incredibly powerful Tao Lord's aura. The Lion Ridge Tao Lord is here to help the mystic moon ancient city. Yun Xiaotian is here to protect the poetic sword sage, Chu Kuangren. I, the loose cultivator and Tian, am here to join in the fun too. One after another, names were announced. Each of them was a strong cultivator in the Purple Gold Galaxy, and now all of them were here to protect Chu Kuangren. Everyone was left speechless. They understood that these people were not here to protect Chu Kuangren, but to return the favor to the ethereal immortal mortal heaven. The ethereal immortal mortal heaven is too prestigious in the Purple Gold Galaxy. Many strong cultivators here owe him a favor. That's right. Take Yang Xiao for example. Rumor has it that he was also an immortal seed back then. The demonic sky sword in his hand was forged by the ethereal immortal mortal heaven, and it has accompanied him in battle until now. The ethereal immortal mortal heaven's network is too strong. The spectators outside the mystic moon ancient city were amazed. The celestial moon Daoist and the others were overjoyed. As expected of the ethereal immortal mortal heaven. Besides him, who else could gather so many strong cultivators from all over? The celestial moon Daoist laughed. On the other hand, the strong cultivators from the Purple Star Alliance looked extremely gloomy. This ethereal immortal mortal heaven is really troublesome. The Sky Guardian snorted coldly. Even he did not expect the ethereal immortal mortal heaven to be so powerful that he could weave such a network without anyone noticing. Purple Star Alliance, do you still want to fight? Xianxia stood with his hands behind his back. Behind him were the strong cultivators who came to repay the ethereal immortal mortal heaven's favor. A burst of laughter was heard. Purple Firmament took a step forward and said coldly, "A bunch of trash wants to fight against the Purple Star Alliance? Today, no matter who comes, Chu Kuangren must die. Kill!" The order was given. The strong cultivators from the Purple Star Alliance immediately flew out from the warship. Waves of domineering aura filled the sky above the mystic moon city. "Then let's fight," Xianxia said indifferently. With a twist of his sword, a majestic sword chi erupted. Chapter 873. The sounds of battle rang out. The powerhouses of Purple Star also made their move. Among them, the most eye-catching were the three protectors of Purple Star. All three of them were Heaven Law Masters. In addition to these two, there was a man and a woman, dressed in black and white robes respectively. These two were also Heaven Dao Masters. They were a pair of Dao companions, the famous black and white stars of Purple Star. In addition to the Wang family's old ancestor, the Purple Star Alliance now had 6 Heaven Path Masters. On the other hand, the ancient city of Mystic Moon, the Divine Moon Sect Master, the Moon Palace Master, Xianxia, and an old man with a cane. Only 4 of them were Heaven Law Masters. The number of other Path Masters was about the same. However, 1 Heaven Law Master was equivalent to dozens of Great Path Masters, so someone had to restrain the remaining 2 Heaven Law Masters of Purple Star. "Leave the black and white stars to me," Xianxia said to the Divine Moon Sect Master with his monarch consciousness. "Are you sure you can face 2 Heaven Law Masters at the same time?" "Don't worry, I can." Xianxia nodded. "Then there's 1 more Heaven Law Master. Who will restrain him?" "Don't worry, leave it to me," the Divine Moon Sect Master said. Xiao's eyes lit up. The sword in his hand trembled slightly, and an unyielding battle intent erupted. "Then let's fight." Whoosh! Xiao took a step forward and rushed toward the black and white stars. He swung his sword, and a surging sword light poured out. While Xiao was fighting the black and white stars, the other Heaven Law Masters also made their moves. They had tacitly chosen their own opponents. The Moon Palace Master faced the Earth Protector. The old man with the cane faced the mysterious Protector. He waved his hands, and countless vines flew out and danced wildly in the void. You're courting death." The Heaven Protector, who was second only to Hall Master Ziwei, snorted coldly. He gripped his spear and stepped forward, a violent aura swirling around him. At that moment, a stream of light appeared in front of him. It was the Divine Moon Sect Master. "Purple Star Heaven Protector, come and fight me." The sword and spear collided. Terrifying energy poured out like a torrential flood. Just as he was locked in battle with the Purple Star Heavenly Protector, the Wang family's forefather, who was not too far away, looked towards the direction of the city hall with a glint in his eyes. "Let's break this formation first, then drag Chu Kuangren out." At this moment, the masters of the Heaven Law were fighting on their own. No one could stop him. The Emperor's chi within his body surged and intertwined with Daoist patterns. A terrifying domineering aura circulated as he raised his hand, ready to destroy the formation and drag Chu Kuangren out. However, at this very moment, the Divine Moon Path Master, who was fighting with the Purple Star Sky Protector, shot out several beams of sword light toward the Wang family patriarch. Sensing the sword light, the old ancestor of the Wang family snorted coldly, "You want to hold me back while fighting with the Purple Star Heavenly Protector? You are too naive." He raised his hand and blasted a palm at the sword light. The sword and the palm collided, and the sword light shattered. But in the next moment, The shattered sword light turned into countless fine sword chi, intertwining in the void to form a sword chi cage. The patriarch of the Wang family was trapped within, and his expression changed slightly. He struck the sword chi cage with his palm. However, with a bang, the palm chi collapsed, but the sword chi was unscathed. What kind of strange technique is this? The Wang family patriarch said in a low voice. Patriarch of the Wang family, just stay in that sword chi cage. The divine moon path master sneered. The confinement sword chi was one of his most powerful sword techniques. This sword technique did not have high lethality, but it excelled in trapping people. Even cultivators of the same cultivation realm as him would find it difficult to break free in a short time. How long do you think you can trap me with just sword chi? The Wang family patriarch snorted. He unleashed one palm attack after another. Every time he unleashed a palm attack, the sword chi cage would weaken. Just as the masters of the heaven law were unleashing their techniques, the other Daoists were also engaged in battle. Terrifying energy fluctuations erupted one after another. The purple star first sequence, purple firmament, stood in the air with a cold expression. He could not intervene in the battle between the masters of the heaven law. Instead, he commanded the warship behind him to continuously fire energy beams at the mystic moon ancient city's great formation. Capture their leader first. Purple firmament is the first sequence, and his position in the purple star is very important. As long as we subdue him, we will have bargaining chips with the purple star. A burly man's eyes sparkled. His figure flashed, and he turned into a stream of light. He dodged the attacks of several great Dao masters and flew toward purple firmament. His speed was extremely fast, and he appeared in front of purple firmament in the blink of an eye. Bow down. The burly man shouted coldly. His late-stage great Dao master cultivation base was completely unleashed. Terrifying Emperor Qi swept out and turned into a giant golden hand that grabbed at purple firmament. Purple firmament snorted. Endless starlight flowed around his body. The giant golden hand landed on the starlight, but it could not get even half a step closer. Galaxy annihilation. Purple firmament raised his hand and activated an immortal technique. Thousands of starlight gathered in his palm and formed a starlight vortex. Within the vortex, there seemed to be a galaxy surging out. The giant golden hand was shattered by the galaxy. The burly man was sent flying while vomiting blood. How can he be so powerful? The burly man's expression changed. Before he could recover from his shock, a figure appeared above him like a ghost. It was purple firmament. He raised his hand gently, and starlight shone in his palm. His palm fell like a huge star falling from the sky at high speed, and it smashed into the great Dao master's head. Bang! The burly man's head exploded, and blood splattered everywhere. This scene caused the powerhouses of Xianxia ancient city to secretly exclaim, "Is this the power of purple firmament sequence 1? He can kill a great Dao master so easily. This is too terrifying." As expected of one of the two strongest in the purple gold galaxy, I'm afraid no one below the heavenly Dao master can hurt him. Everyone was extremely fearful. Even the other sequence purple firmament celestial seeds were secretly shocked. So powerful. This is the power of a sequence 1. A few hundred years ago, he could easily kill someone of the same level as him when he first became a great Dao master. Now, his strength has improved a lot. Even a sequence 2 is far from being his match. Purple firmament stood in the air with a proud expression. He stared at the ancient mystic Moon City Lord's residence. Poetic sword god Chu Kuangren, how long are you going to hide? Are you still not coming out? No one responded to him. What a shame. These people came to protect you, but who would have thought that they would protect a coward who doesn't even dare to come out and fight? Purple firmament continued to sneer. Inside the city lord's residence, it was still silent. Boom, boom, only the rumbling sounds of energy beams hitting the great formation could be heard. At that moment, the ancient mystic moon city's great formation finally could not hold on any longer. Cracks began to appear on it, and with a loud bang, the great formation shattered. Beams of energy beams smashed into the ancient city. Countless buildings were destroyed. Lock onto the city lord's residence. Purple firmament sneered. The warship's cannons turned and aimed at the city lord's residence. Beams of energy beams rained down, blasting the city lord's residence into a mess. If the mystic moon Daoist had not arranged for Tang Haitang and the others to a safe place, there would have been countless casualties. While the rest of the buildings in the city lord's residence were being destroyed, there was one room that remained unscathed. That room was surrounded by mysterious Daoist patterns that blocked off all the energy beams. Oh, is that where you are? You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.